It's so beautiful. Oh shit, my voice is on. Fuck, it's beautiful, dude. Wolves, man. I would sacrifice myself 10 times over to make sure every wolf in this world can live in peace and harmony. Fuck. Did I just get a message? Well, okay, here we go. Gotta set this back to how it always is when I stream. And, you understand me? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Here it is. Yes. 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 Okay. Text. Come on. Thank you. There we go. It is now gone. Wait, did I? Yeah? No. No, never mind. Okay, welcome to the Fluff, everybody. And welcome to some more SCP reading. Almost pierced my ear. So yeah, we're at the 780s. That means that we reach the 800s next weekend. Oh man, we almost got the first 1,000 done. It's crazy. It's crazy how far we've gotten. It's crazy how far we've gotten. Whoever is watching right now, I hope you enjoy me reading the 10 SCPs that we're about to read from the 780s. And the first one shall be the Seed Bead. Okay, I can't really put a image into my mind just yet about this, but we'll see. It's a safe. How's the before I start? How's the background sound and my voice? Like, is it a good balance? Is the can you hear the rain and thunder, and can you hear my voice just as well? I'll start reading, and if I get the feedback, I'll adjust it afterwards. SCP-780. This is a good start. SCP-780 must be kept in a locked steel box, 10 centimeters cubed, with walls at least 1 centimeter thick. This box is to be. I think the reason why my mouth is a bit right now is because I had pasta and it was a little bit spicy, so my whole mouth is still burning. This box is to be kept on a 5-meter pedestal at the center of a 20-meter squared concrete room. Individuals wishing to approach SCP-780 must submit to a full-body search and may not bring plants, living or artificial, images of plants, description of plants, or digital displays of any kind within 10 meters of SCP-780 except as part of a pre-approved test protocol. Individuals with plant tattoos are likewise forbidden from approaching SCP-780 except doing testing. I still don't know what to think this is. Like, every time I read the title, I try to imagine what it potentially could be. And sometimes the containment procedure kind of like helps you understand what it is. I got zero clue what this thing is. SCP-780 is a small bead. Okay, well, I guess I should have assumed that. 1 centimeter in diameter, shaped like a rounded gem with numerous facets and a hole at its center. It appears to be made of a clear amorphous substance. Studies suggest it has a structure similar to that of polyvinyl chloride, but this does not account for its reaction to plants. While SCP-780 does not melt at temperature exceeding 3,500 Kelvin, cooling it to below 24 Kelvin temporarily changes its structure into a crystalline form, allowing it to be damaged by blunt impacts. When a plant or representation of a plant, including artificial plants, photographs of plants, drawing and paintings of plants, particularly vivid textual description of plants, or any of the above appearing on a screen of any sort, is placed within 10 meters of SCP-780, it begins to levitate and will fly towards the plant. How SCP-780 detects the plant is unknown at this time. If restrained, SCP-780 will become increasingly agitated until the plant is removed from its radius. So when it flies towards the plant, is it like high speed, like the Vegito candy flying through Super Boo's mouth, or is it just like a slow, steady hover? If allowed to come into contact with the plant, hereafter the host plant, SCP-780 will stick to it for a period of 5 seconds, at which time it will fall to the floor. Once it lays flat against the ground, it cannot be removed except as noted below. Within 10 minutes, a shoot will be seen growing from within the hole at the center of SCP-780. This will mature to a fully grown specimen of the host plant within 24 hours. This new plant is designated -1. Even if the host plant was not living, physical plant -1 will be, though in all other traits, color, height, general form, it will match the depiction of the host plant. -1 has the same requirements for sun and atmosphere as the host plant, but does not have a root system and therefore does not require water or any particular soil conditions. Despite lacking roots, -1 will not fall over regardless of imbalance or pressure applied. Attempts to dig up to the ground -1 sets on result in get expunged. -1 is equally susceptible to damage as the host plant. Anything which will kill the host plant will also kill -1. Upon its death, it will rot unusually quickly, and SCP-780 may be retrieved. So far, it doesn't seem too bad. It just seems it just makes another plant. Honestly, don't see the downside so far. But there's still 2 paragraphs, so we'll see. At maturity, each instance of -1 produces new copies of SCP-780. In flowering plants, the copies are found at the base of each flower, usually replacing the ovary. In non-flowering plants, the copy replaces seeds, spores, or other such propagules. Each reproductive structure, flower, cone, spore, capsule, produces exactly 1 copy of SCP-780. When -1 portrays a plant species that does not undergo sexual reproduction, a single new copy of SCP-780 forms at the base of -1. These new copies of SCP-780 will break out of -1 and affix to the nearest plant not generated by SCP-780, or remain inert if no such plant exists within the radius. Flowers or seeds removed from -1 before maturation contain smaller, misshapen copies of SCP-780 which do not react to plants in any way. Addendum A, SCP-780 Lexi. Welcome. Welcome to Fluff. Welcome to the SCP reading. You haven't missed much. It's the first one. So far, a gem, a little bead, that if it touches plant, it becomes plant. And then that plant creates more beads. So, that's basically it. It's just a different way for plants to reproduce, I guess. There's new copies of -1. There's Addendum A. SCP-780 was recovered when flyovers of the Atacama Desert reported an odd stand of mangrove trees where existing water should have been insufficient for the survival. Yes, it doesn't need water. It just grows. And you cannot move it. You cannot make it fall over. Initial response from the Chilean government included a botanist carrying blank, which included a picture of a rose bush on the cover. Upon approaching the site, multiple copies of SCP-780 flew toward the book, and the researchers fled. When they returned a day later, many more rose bushes were growing at the site. Communication between the research team and the contact was intercepted by Agent Blank, who intervened on behalf of the Chilean government. Mobile Containment Task Force was dispatched, who used incendiary devices to incinerate all plants in the area. All instances of SCP-780 were retrieved, and all but one has been destroyed to reduce the risk of further growth. Yes, it does not need to be a living plant. It can be a plastic plant. It could be a picture of a plant on your phone, a picture of a plant on paper. It can be a descriptive text of a plant. And this thing will then basically. And here we have the test logs. I already see that there's some SCPs being mentioned down below. So here we go. Let's read this. The following experiments were performed to evaluate the extent of SCP-780's abilities. Experiment 1, well, E1, which I guess E stands for experiment, so experiment 1, host plant sunflower. Result, full-grown sunflower produced in 24 hours with one new copy of SCP-780 within flower. Experiment 2, host plant photograph of sunflower used in experiment 1. Resulting flower was identical to the one produced in experiment 1. Experiment 3, painting of sunflower used in experiment 1. Resulting flower was similar to the one produced in experiment 1, but slight difference, number of petals, shades of color showed it to be a copy of the painting, not the original plant. That makes sense, because you know, a painting has different shading and different saturation of colors, so it makes sense that the plant will look different. Experiment 4, painting of sunflower with one single purple petal rather than many yellow ones. Resulting flower matched that of painting. That's pretty cool though. Gotta say, that's pretty cool. Experiment 5, the word sunflower, no response. Experiment 6, one paragraph description of a sunflower. Resulting flower matched description in paragraph. Whoever's doing the experiments really likes sunflowers. God, maybe they want to walk on sunshine, who knows. Experiment 7, a one paragraph description of a bush which produces chocolate bars. Resulting bush shares physical appearance with description, but chocolate bars are in fact fruit, with a dark, fleshy interior that, according to D-class testers, only has a passing resemblance to the taste of chocolate. Each fruit contains a copy of SCP-780, indicating that these fruits would normally contain seeds on the interior. That's pretty cool, though. So you could make any plant. You can describe any plant, and this thing will then make it. You could literally have a tree that grows money, if you wanted to, and this thing would do it. Now think about it. If that's the case, if they did that, there would be no budget restrictions. You could literally just be like, tree that grows millions of dollars on it, and this thing would then produce that tree. Millions, billions, anything. Like, you can just tell it to grow money. A one paragraph description of a bush which produces health bars, which contain a week's worth of calories and nutrients in every bite. Resulting bush shares physical appearance with description with the bars again being fruits containing copies of SCP-780. Tests verify that these are fairly nutritious, with a wide variety of vitamins and minerals, but only contain slightly more substance than any ordinary fruit or vegetable. Further research on exploring SCP-780 to provide variety in the site blank canteen on hold pending approval. If we can make fruits as healthy as Brussels sprouts but as tasty as strawberries, imagine the marketing possibilities. We just need to find a way to remove the copy of SCP-780 embedded at the heart of each fruit. Dr. Blank. I mean, yeah. The profits will be incredibly high. Experiment 9. A one paragraph description of data expunged. Result, data expunged. Okay, experiment 10. SCP-038. Now that's... one was... the everything tree, wasn't this? Was a clone of... can clone SCP, but only work... was tried... oh, here. Is a tree that can clone anything that touches its bark. The maximum weight the cloned item can weigh is... Yes, I remember this tree. Yes. It wasn't the other tree that I thought of, the more messed up one. Resulting plant appeared identical to SCP-7038, but lacked its ability to reproduce items touched to its trunk. Then we have SCP-143, which is the Bladewood Grove. A species of cherry blossom trees with sharp glass-like petals. Yes, I remember. Oh my god, this was such a long time ago. I remember this now. Yeah. The where like the sakura petals came down, but it cuts you when it does, because even though it looks beautiful, they're sharp. They're very sharp. A resulting tree identical in appearance with SCP-143. I don't know why I keep saying. I mean, I keep saying 7 because it's SCP-780. Bark has the same hardness as SCP-143, but pieces removed from -1 lose its property and retain only the hardness typical of a Prunus ex Yedonsis tree. Petals have no unusual properties. And now 417. That's the plague tree. Yes. There's a species of dead-looking baobab trees that grow fruit filled with biting insects. Yes, yes, yes. Why would you ever try that? While exhibiting the outward appearance of SCP-417, fruit only contains more copies of SCP-780. Further testing on plant-like SCP objects is suspended as the unique abilities do not appear to be reproduced. Yeah, but still, it's interesting, you know. Yeah, you know, it's still fascinating to know if it does or not. Okay. Even though it was a low-rated one, I really like the idea. I really like the idea of what it does, but I can see why it's not that popular. It's like, it's literally, all it does is just creates the same plant that you already have. It's basically taking plants' reproduction systems and make it 10 times faster. So I can see why it's not that popular. Unwitting Dream Shaper. Oh boy. Oh boy. This will be a bit longer, but not by much. Oh, Lexi, can you tell me if the background noise is exactly the correct volume, or if it's a bit too much? Oh! Alright, I think she's just lurking for now. Today is Sunday. She does not have D&D today. So SCP-781 is to be contained within a reinforced cell with a buffer zone at least 25 meters squared surrounding it. Subject cell should include a bed, bathroom, and limited forms of entertainment as approved. As soon as subject initiates sleep, usually around 20 o'clock, well, yeah, 20, all personnel present in the main containment chamber should evacuate. All personnel are prohibited from interfering with any situation within SCP-781's chamber between 20 and 7. Despite any pleas for aid or attention from SCP-781, see Addendum 5. SCP-781 is to be interviewed each morning at 7 by Dr. Glass. Any personnel seeing SCP-781 in the dreams are to report to Dr. Glass for documentation. SCP-781's remains should be collected and placed upon the middle of its containment chamber after any incident resulting in its death. SCP-781 appears to be human male of Mediterranean descent, approximately redacted years old as of blank 10. However, when he was first discovered in blank 97, he appeared to be approximately redacted years old. Autopsies performed on the subject have determined SCP-781 to be physiologically identical to average humans. The reason for any anomalies surrounding SCP-781, including the decreased rate of aging, are unknown. It is thought that while asleep, SCP-781 involuntarily manifests its own. I have to be more. I need to pronunciate and enunciate a bit better. Manifests its own dream content into a physical form. The majority of these manifestations are hostile and highly dangerous. On an average, SCP-781 is killed 3 times per week. Oh. Testing using D-Class personnel shows that these manifestations specifically target SCP-781 over potential victims, but are capable of harming others should they attempt to interfere. It seems that though it is required that SCP-781 be asleep to create manifestation, it is not required that he continue sleeping for the continued existence. Thankfully, these manifestations are not wholly independent of the creator and always remain relatively close to SCP-781, up to a range of about 9 meters. Manifestations that are even partly forced out of this range immediately disappear entirely. Manifestations seem to linger upwards of 5 minutes even after SCP-781's physical death. Lastly and importantly, it is to be noted that SCP-781 seems capable of auto-resurrection. Though the subject does not exhibit resistance to injury or death beyond the limit of a normal human, 12 hours after SCP-781's physical death, any remains of its corpse disappear. Another 12 hours later, a fully healthy SCP-781 appears within 10 meters of the place of the previous death. I wonder if he feels any of the pain, of the pain that killed it, or him. It's a Mediterranean male, yeah, so him. Well, I wonder if he feels any of it, or if it's like so fast he doesn't feel anything, or just, you know, not painful. Further notes, while SCP-781 seems to display no control over his own dream manifestation, testing has shown that he is capable of perceiving and manipulating the dreams of sleeping subjects in his vicinity. This ability was helpful to determine the source of SCP-781's manifestation. Document 1. Most of SCP-781's nighttime manifestations are hostile to SCP-781 and are quick to cause him harm. The majority of manifestations never repeat themselves, but there have been cases where recurring manifestations have occurred. The following is a list of some of the manifestations seen more than once. Sewage bursting from the floor, accompanied by a seemingly unending swarm of rats, which quickly overwhelm SCP-781 and proceed to devour him alive, leaving only bones and its bits of flesh, has been observed twice. God damn, boy. He must have been awake for all that. There's no way. Unless, I mean, I guess if he wakes up, the dream is over, so... Does the dream... So he must be asleep the whole time. It's not like... Because I'm pretty sure they say, like, if he... I guess if he were to wake up during the dream, it would be gone, right? Maybe? I don't know. A large woman holding a hose which seemed to extend from the ground, which she forcibly inserts into SCP-781's throat. The hose seemed to expel a thick white liquid which the woman uses to drown SCP-781, has appeared twice. So basically, this is if the paralyzed demon, sleep paralysis demon, and general nightmares just literally become real and kill you. This is exactly what every sleep paralysis victim is afraid of, that this will happen to them while they cannot move. A large humanoid figure about 4.57 meters or 15 feet tall, made up of transparent and highly acidic substance, has appeared twice, both times after interviews with personnel other than Dr. Glass, tends to grapple SCP-781 in its arms until death to major acid burns or suffocation. Suffocation, no breathing, don't give a fuck if your acid refluxes. Very highly toxic against me. A large floating mass with several tendrils bearing sharp needle-like spines, which forcibly drew SCP-781 into it. SCP-781 died 2 hours later from blood loss, appeared 3 times in the space of a month, but has not been seen since. An old woman with rotting flesh, which attacked SCP-781 with her teeth and nails. Okay. Typically, SCP-781 is able to fight back, but almost always sustains heavy wounds, which require it to be euthanized by personnel. Has appeared 3 times. A man wearing a surgical mask who straps SCP-781 to its bed and proceeds to slice its abdomen open with a scalpel, removing several organs. Has appeared 3 times, each time after an autopsy was performed on SCP-781. A statue resembling Data expunged. Is not observed physically harming SCP-781, but seems to cause the subject great distress, and often SCP-781 has passed out from hyperventilation at the site of this manifestation. This particular manifestation has appeared 4 times now, starting on the day SCP-781 was exposed to Data expunged. Addendum 1. See Evaluation Log as 781 for extended psychological evaluation and testing. That's what we're going to do right now. Evaluation Note 1. Psychological analysis shows subject to be highly forgetful about personal events in general, but even more so on those leading to his death. His memory repression was likely developed as a coping mechanism to deal with his frequent painful deaths. In an attempt to aid the development of his mental health, security personnel on nightly detail are hereby ordered to defend SCP-781 from his manifestations, if possible. It is my hope that perhaps with some treatment and reprieve from the nightly attacks, SCP-781's dream will not be manifest as hostile, Dr. Glass. Evaluation Note 2. SCP-781's mood and mental health finally seem to be improving. He has been regularly cheerful as of late, has begun to request company, and has become increasingly open with his thoughts. Furthermore, SCP-781 expresses gratitude of the Foundation interference on his behalf. However, the nightly attacks continue at the same intensity, and no significant progress has been made with the subject's frequent memory lapses, Dr. Glass. So at least the Foundation is trying to keep him safe now. Because who knows how many experiments he had to just let it happen. Yeah. Although maybe they just kind of have to let the experiment happen just to see what it does, until they can be prepared for next time it shows up, I guess, because there is a chance that one of those experiments one of those dream manifestations will show up again. Evaluation Note 4. Under my command, testing for possible users of SCP-781 is ongoing. It appears SCP-781 is not able to be used as a reusable source of human organs, as all parts of SCP-781 disappear 12 hours after its death. Even if they have been preserved or made functional within a different body, further research is necessary. Dr. Blank, can you imagine you give somebody a new organ, you operate on somebody to give them a new organ, just for that organ to disappear 12 hours later? Ugh. No. Poor dude. Poor person. Just I feel so much better with this lung transplant. I can breathe. I can fight. And then 12 hours later, dead. Evaluation Note 5. On all trials, it seems SCP-781 must return perfectly healthy despite mode of death. When exposed to mundane toxins, SCP-781 succumbed as normal but has always returned perfectly healthy. Proposals to use SCP-781 as reusable D-Class personnel are pending, though 05 blank raised concerns of exposing an untrusted and potential immortal subject to sensitive information. Having a single genetically identical subject who could later expound on his experience would be a great asset to future research in case of fatal SCPs. Dr. Blank. Evaluation Note 6. Subject had to be terminated during the course of an interview by Dr. Blank. Dr. Blank was, during the interview, attempting to question SCP-781 about some of the reoccurring manifestation observed. At first, the subject merely stated that it didn't remember anything as usual, but as Dr. Blank continued to press the subject for information, SCP-781 began to show signs of hostility, eventually coming to statistically describe the mental and physical torture it wished to inflict upon Dr. Blank. After further pressing it by Dr. Blank, SCP-781 violently stabbed Dr. Blank in the throat with a pen before being quickly terminated by security agents. As this outburst is the first sign of anger or hostility SCP-781 has shown, it is perhaps prudent to refrain from questioning SCP-781 further about its nightmares, Dr. Glass. A bit too late. The other doctor would probably have loved to hear that warning beforehand. When introduced to SCP-452, which is the Dreamcatcher spider, yes. It's a species of black widow spiders with hallucinogenic venom. Anyone who sleeps near will sleep pleasantly. Yes. Both SCP-781 and SCP-452 showed signs of agitation and distress. When questioned, SCP-781 merely stated that the spiders made him uneasy. When SCP-452 web was introduced to SCP-781 for the purpose of stopping SCP-781's dreams, testing had no unusual result until data expunged, resulting in 12 personnel casualties. Further testing between SCP-781 and SCP-452 are discontinued, and SCP-781 should be kept from making physical contact with SCP-452 web at all costs. I assume all of his dreams got captured in there, but then all of the manifestation also popped out. So it was a whole army of nightmare fuel. Well, not nightmare fuel, because the nightmare's already there. Hey Bear, welcome to the Fluff. And you missed one SCP so far. The first one you missed was a bead that can tell that will fly towards any plant that's in a 10-meter radius around it. Doesn't matter if the plant is alive, fake a picture that's either drawn, photographed on paper on your phone, or even described on text. It will flow towards it, stick to whatever the media is, fall down, and then create a duplicate of the exact same plant with another bead seed inside of it. And this one is a man that, when falling asleep, his dreams, or better yet, his nightmare manifests into real life things that try to kill him. And he can, he has died quite a lot of times, and come back quite a lot of times. So yeah, that's what you missed so far. Testing SCP blank with SCP-781 as its subject had highly unusual results. After several tries, SCP-781 was able to completely control the smoke's composition, though it took him time and considerable concentration. Further testing of SCP blank is prohibited, as giving SCP-781 the ability to create anything he wants is, for obvious reason, greatly discouraged. Addendum 4, by orders of 05 blank, as of blank 2000, I guess, personnel are no longer there to interfere in SCP-781's nightly attacks. It has been determined that the personal casualties and resource expenditure needed to protect SCP-781 can no longer be justified, as continued interference has only caused the manifestation to become more dangerous and volatile, and SCP-781's immoral nature has been fully proven in any case. Addendum 6. SCP-781 has been highly successful in controlling SCP-122, which is No More Monsters. It's a chill nightlight shaped like a star, which turns a group of shadowy humanoids. They try to make every living human in a growing radius of effects sleep indefinitely and give them strange dreams. SCP-781 was recovered from So it could be the Foundation's advantage to use the controlled SCP-122 for data expunged. And then 7, see incident log 1781X, which we don't have, so that's basically it. This was Unwitting Dream Shaper. That's pretty dope. I'm pretty sure it's every as I said before, it's every sleep paralysis victim's worst nightmare that the sleep paralysis demon becomes real and kills you. That's definitely all of them the worst thing that could happen to them, or what the worst thing they could imagine would happen to them in their sleep. So yeah, lovely. All new you. New year, new you. Okay. Save. The second save that we got so far. All known copies of SCP-782 are to be kept at storage site blank. Blank copies are currently in storage. The total number of existing copies is unknown. Mobile Task Force Kappa, the Bookworms, is tasked with searching libraries, used bookstores, and thrift stores for copies still in circulation. Copies of SCP-782 must be stored in a low humidity environment to discourage decomposition. If possible, personnel handling copies of SCP-782 should not be capable of reading English. English literate personnel are to treat SCP-782 as a Gabriel 7 level meme-tick threat. Gabriel? Okay, I got some weird itch happening here. SCP-782 is an anomalously published self-help book entitled 3 Easy Steps to an All-New You. No author listed, and its publisher blank is closed in 1990 blank. As blank was a so-called vanity publisher. None of the individuals associated with it claim to remember such a book, or indeed most of the books they published. In addition, all of blank's records were destroyed when its CEO burned down the company head office in an attempt to commit insurance fraud. Due to those factors, SCP-782's unknown origin should not be considered paranormal in nature. When SCP-782 is read by an individual capable of understanding its content and message, it has a Type P meme-tick effect upon the victim. SCP-782 alters the chemistry, connection, and even architecture of the brain. SCP-782's effect occurs in 3 stages. The 3 stages occur in various areas of the body over time, generally taking 7 to 14 months, though rarely, it can happen in over less than a single month. The first stage of the effect is that the victim begins to feel numbness in random places on the body. The numbness eventually fades. The second stage of the effect is that the victim is no longer able to control those areas. The affected individual has no way of influencing the movement of the affected body parts beyond manipulating the body parts the affected areas are attached to. The victim is still capable of sensation through affected areas. Essentially, the affected areas can send signals to the brain, but not receive them. The second stage is typically brief, generally lasting 1 to 3 days. In the third and final stage of SCP-782's effect, the affected areas begin to engage in autonomous movement. Excuse me. It's been a hectic day. The movement of the affected area may be completely at odds with the desire of the victim, and affected body parts frequently engage in activity on characteristics of the victim's personality. The body parts will attempt to achieve goals and perform tasks independent of the desire of the victim. If hands, mouth, and throat all become affected, communication becomes difficult, if not impossible. Once communicative organs become affected, they will almost invariably begin to attempt communication on behalf of another mind. At this point, it becomes clear that the various affected body parts are not independent from each other, but controlled by another will. Eventually, the total body is controlled by the secondary will, which becomes the dominant consciousness of the body. The new personality shares no memories with the old, although they will share all of its subconscious memories. An example, skills and language. The new personality is no more likely to be malicious than a member of the general population. Document 1. The following document is a collection of case reports of SCP-782 incidents from the notes of Dr. Blank. Case AAA. Victim is 47-year-old male Caucasian, no history of mental illness, local priest, campaigned against same-sex marriage bill in state of blank, checked into local hospital for mysterious numbness, shift progression began in hands. Victim demonstrated an apparent sudden increase in autistic talent. Occasionally the hands draw imagery described by the victim as homoerotic. Oh my. Oh my. Shift progressed next to the genital area. Victim reported unwanted sexual arousal described as homosexual. Shift progressed with victim eventually took own life. Okay. A bit of a big step. It went from let me draw something homosexual, to I'm kind of aroused by a man, to let me kill myself. It's a bit, there's some steps missing I would say in between all that. Autopsy concluded cause of death due to suffocation on tongue, detached via laceration by the teeth. I see. Wait. Detached via laceration by the teeth. So he must have been laying down when that happened, and then the teeth just bit the tongue off, and the tongue just went backwards. Ugh. Case ABJ. Victim is 16 years old, female of African descent, diagnosed with attention deficit disorder, not considered relevant. Checked in the local hospital for mysterious numbness. Shift progression began in throat. Victim would vocally beg for help, claiming to be trapped inside a strange body she couldn't control. Victim confirmed through written communication that she was no longer in control of her speech. Speech would be distressed, despite lack of corresponding body language. Shift progressed to the rest of body. Speech became less troubled as more body parts came under the new consciousness control. As the victim's hands shifted quickly, the mental condition of the original personality for the final year of its existence is unknown. Girl administered Class A amnestics, returned to family, currently living normal life, albeit under Foundation observation. Case ACB. Okay. Victim is 32 years old, male, Asian, no history of mental illness. Checked into local hospital due to the sudden inexplicable blindness. Victim regained eyesight, returned home. Shift very quickly spread to hands and arms. Due to unknown reasons, victim did not seek medical attention. Shifts very quickly spread to legs. Victim later expunged wife and daughter against his will. Begged responding police to kill him. Currently in Foundation custody at site blank. Shift is not yet total. Oh boy. Document A. For the purpose of the research personnel, the following is an excerpt from SCP-782, as it's not being read directly from SCP-782. Reading the following document is harmless. The first step to an all-new you is rejecting the old you. You've got to throw away all your baggage, all your hang-ups, discard all the failings of the old you. The second step is to find the new you. The best way to find the new you is to look deep inside, find your childhood dreams and your secret fantasies, and embrace that. That's the new you. The third step is to embrace the new you. You need to allow the new you to completely replace the old you, so the old you is no more. God damn. Well, this will definitely help if you want to have a New Year's resolution and you need some a bit more supernatural help to make it happen. Oh, there was a crooked man. That's a big one. That's a famous one. That not only in SCP lore, but just in general, that's a famous monster. I wonder if this is inspired by, like, if this inspired the Crooked Man in The Conjuring 2, or if The Conjuring 2 inspired this. So it's Keto, and also right arm of SCP-783 victim. Oh wait, the victim. Damn, why? How did the arm become like this? Ugh. Okay, special containment procedure. Personnel must monitor the town of Tomboy and continue to develop the entity's profile. Its victims are to be retrieved, incinerated, and catalogued in this file. Update. Due to the recent events, a stronger Foundation presence has been determined to be necessary for the containment of SCP-783, and it's for real. You know what? I'm gonna do this. Yes. There we go. For the containment of SCP-783 and its related phenomena, an ancillary building near the local hospital, as well as two domiciles, have been commandeered from the locals for the Foundation use. This property in its entirety has been redesignated as Provisional Site 5. Description: SCP-783 is a hostile entity currently preying upon the residents of Tenby, a rural hamlet in Oxfordshire, England. Ah, great. I mean, yeah, it makes sense. The Conjuring 2 also said that the Crooked Man was in England, so... There's a movie about the Crooked Man, isn't there? I'm pretty sure there is, and I haven't seen it yet. It has a period of activity lasting roughly 70 days over the fall and winter months, occurring every 12 years. It exclusively attacks those who are alone and indoors after sunset. Buildings housing SCP-783's current target will experience a steady degradation of their structural integrity. Outwardly, this is visible at faults and breaks on the outer facade which lend affected structures on an angled or crooked appearance. So even the house becomes crooked. Okay. This anomaly extends to any object which breach the affected building's exterior, causing immediate and severe deformation that is invariably fatal to living subjects. To date, personnel have yet to prevent an attack or been able to provide any means of assistance to SCP-783's targets. Due to this, as well as SCP-783's effects on recording equipment, little is known regarding SCP-783's exact appearance and the nature of its anomalous attributes. Victims of SCP-783's attack exhibit gross deformation in the body structure as a result of dozens of compound fractures along the long bones and severely displaced vertebrae. These are healed via the rapid regeneration of excessive cartilage and osseous tissue. Victims display hyperelasticity of the epidermis and musculature to accommodate the extra tissue, with one subject's forearm extending over 2.5 meters and another having a recorded height of 12.5 meters. That is a tall dude. That is a very tall dude. The end result of this malformation and elongation are subjects who visually present as being wholly serrated or gnawed. Despite the nature of these injuries, most victims are alive after the cessation of SCP-783's attack, though they often suffer full body paralysis or remain in its persistent vegetative state. 27 living specimens have been acquired and placed on life support. They are held in a wing of the local hospital requisitioned for Foundation use. The residents of Tembai are aware of the existence of SCP-783, though speaking of it publicly is considered taboo. Researchers have documented a playground and song shared among local youths regarding the anomaly. There lived a crooked man who made a crooked deal. He kept a crooked cane and his catches in crooked creel. He stole a crooked child who cried a crooked squeal, and a crooked little man was broken on the wheel. This is basically Voldemort and Freddy Krueger mixed into one. He who should not be named. Observation incident log apprehended. A month prior to SCP-783's current period of activity, D209 was selected from a group of volunteers to live in a Foundation-owned property in Tembai. Audio-video recording equipment was installed throughout the house for observation purposes. The following was recorded on the 43rd day of his stay. Video log 2234. 2F bedroom. D209 is lying upright in bed reading a novel. Living room live feed experience a jagged vertical distortion on its display. This begins on the left of the frame near the front door and crosses over the right side towards the hallway. It lasts approximately 23 seconds. Then 1 minute later, on F hallway, floodlights from the window opposing the camera are obscured by something entering the hallway. A similar distortion of effect occurs central frame, masking the object. The image quality further degrades before ceasing transmission. 2F bedroom. D209 jerks upright, alert, claims to hear a slow, prolonged scratching sound coming from the first floor. He begins to get up out of the bed. Don't get up out of the bed. Stay in bed. Make sure you lock it. Put a chair against the door. Anything to prevent this thing from coming into your room. Note: SCP-783 manifestation confirmed visual distortion taken to be an indicator of SCP-783's physical placement within the house. 1F hallway distortion can be seen to the left of the frame, and SCP-783 enters from the living room. Let me see this. I see. Not a minute later. 2F stair. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. 2F stair. Image becomes wavy and distorted. Movement can be seen, though the interference is such that no details can be made out. 2F bedroom. Slow, deliberate footsteps can be heard ascending the stairs. D209 attempts to open the window and escape to no avail. I would do the same thing. I'd be like, ah, well, I'm out. Whatever is in here definitely wants me dead. Yeah. Another minute. This all happens pretty much in like 1 or 2 minute intervals. 2F bedroom. D209 procures a small lamp from the nightstand and makes several attempts to smash through the window. D2F hallway. Sudden video corruption affects this feed as SCP-782 moves directly in front of the camera. The image resolves over the span of 33 seconds as it moves further down the hall. At this point, the only affected area on the recording is immediately outside the bedroom. 2F bedroom. D209 freezes. A knock is heard at the door. Oh boy! Don't open the door, boy. Don't do it. 2F bedroom. D209 approaches the door, wielding the lamp as a cudgel. He asks for the individual at the door to identify themselves. Receiving no response, he then asks control if any personnel were able to gain entry. Observing personnel maintain radio silence. D209 braces himself and grabs the doorknob with his free hand. D209 throws the door open. Note: a loud snapping noise is heard through the house. All light bulbs on the premises burst simultaneously, including floodlights focused on the property. Bathroom. Once the camera adjusts to a low light condition, SCP-783 comes into view. It is near the open door to the hallway, motionless. 2F bedroom. D2. Cool. The O is now somewhere else. 9 screaming, clutching his right arm. It has been fractured just above the elbow and dangles freely. It is observed to swiftly harden, presumably due to the rapid bone growth. D209 shouts his intent to escape with his life and charges from the room. D2F hallway. As D209 runs past the bathroom, a loud snapping noise is heard. D209 falls to the ground and screams for assistance. He reports that his leg has been broken. Note: view corruption instantly begins to affect the kitchen as the sound is made teasing in the bathroom. Now this is the longest time. 4 minutes of nothing. D2F hallway. D209 is able to bring himself to stand. He displays his right arm for the camera, which has been broken below the elbow. It is dangled in the opposite direction from the previous fracture. D209 curses observing personnel, but reports that his pain has mostly subsided. He limps towards the stairs. 2F stairs. While trying to navigate the stairs, D209 trips and falls. 12 loud snaps are heard in rapid succession. Upon coming to rest, D209 exhibits several more fractures in the various places along each limb. He screams as they set and spasms on the landing. Ugh. Almost half an hour now. Okay. 2F stairs. D209 begins to ambulate. He struggles to crawl, eventually passing out of frame. 12 minutes later. 1F living room. D209 can be seen drag himself into the room. He strains, moving with great difficulty due to the cumbersome limbs. Each arm is estimated to be over 2 meters in length, with several inflexible brakes that inhibit motion around obstacles. 1F kitchen. SCP-782. The manifest visual feed us. Visual feed clears. Um, 1F living room. D209 occupies the majority of the living room. His lower legs stretch out of the frame into the hallway. He has a hand on the knob of the front door, but the length of his finger impairs Impairs the dexterity required to manipulate it. A scratching sound is audible in the hallway. D209 expresses distress immediately before being dragged backwards forcibly, and off camera he begins to scream. Note: SCP-783 and D209 remain in the hallway for the duration of the night. Snapping is heard intermittently. D209 ceases screaming at 4:27. At 5:01, a wet suckling noise can be heard, followed by rapid thumping. Concurrent with the noises heard at 5:01 during the D209 trial, all 27 living victims in foundation care went into seizure. Despite the fact that the majority were brain dead or wholly paralyzed, they convulsed for several minutes. 2 present researchers were injured during the incident. Life support systems for several patients were compromised, killing 5. A vast quantity of earth was disturbed on the outskirts of town during this time. Update. Oh, are these things I can actually... Uh-oh. Oh boy, this is a long one, isn't it? This is gonna be a long one. Okay. Oh, sweet Jesus. Okay. Personal tasks with the investigation, with investigating the recent seismic event were met with resistance from Tampa locals who crowded around an area in the field to the south of town. After a brief exchange, Agent Collins threw her firearm and discharged a round into the air. The crowd dispersed. Several elongated toes were immediately visible, protruding from a freshly exposed earth. A dig team was assembled, and by the following afternoon unearthed a mass grave approximately 5 meters across, containing several dozen nude victims of SCP-783. The bodies were well preserved, yet desiccated. The number was unable to be immediately certain of owing to the fact that they had been piled atop of one another. They were oriented head down with their arms extending deeper into the pit. Furthermore, most of the victims' limbs had become intertwined or knotted around each other, preventing exhumation without the use of saving instruments. Researcher Singer elected to extract a tissue sample. During this process, the soil beneath him caved and he tumbled into the pit. The body shifted due to his weight. As he struggled to gain footing, the angle of the limbs gave away and he fell out of sight. Agent Collins promptly commandeered a length of rope and tied it around her waist. She tasked several nearby personnel with reeling her in upon her signal and entering the pit. Approximately 20 meters worth of rope was drawn beneath the corpse as Agent Collins descended. That was unnecessary. Whatever happened outside, that scared me. Okay, so the line became taut about after several minutes. She signaled for extraction and was recovered safely. Upon the brief, the agent testified to the existence of an anomalous locale, the entrance to which is located beneath the victims' corpses. And temporary leave of absence was granted by Agent Collins. Field logs. So we have the first one, initial D-class. I ignored the class part and I just saw initial D and I was like, oh, well, looks like we're drifting. We're inside a car now. Initial D-class exploration for observational purposes. Retrieval of MIA personnel secondary objective. Then we also have field logs 2. Special operatives dispatched for further certain the nature of SCP-783. Then we have 3. Field logs 3. Mobile task force deployed to contain SCP-783. Pending declassification. And field logs 4. Data expunged. Okay. As I was saying, this is gonna be a long read, so let me get. Maybe I should stand for this one. so that. Yeah. Here we go. Force myself a bit more in a position that keeps me awake. The following is the first recorded exploration regarding to the SCP-783 case file. Please refer to the primary documentation for further information. Field log. Not sure if that's the time, because if that was the time, wouldn't it be nighttime? 10 by D2. Taking my sneakers off. D2172 is chosen to perform preliminary observation of the subterranean Tenbai anomaly, a large circular pit acting as a mass grave for the twisted and elongated corpses of past SCP-783 victims, all facing downward. D2172 is suited in a MOP level of 4 gear and fitted with a retractable harness. Communication and video recording devices were hardlined through the tether. They were provided with a handheld photoionization detector, a Geiger counter, and other environmental testing apparatuses. They were loaded a basic survival kit, as well as a Ruger LC9 and ample ammunition. Expedition was scheduled to commence 8 local time, but does not begin until 8:35. This is due to a minor issue regarding D2172's personal protective garments. Despite being of proper size from the frame, D2172 proved incapable of fitting them on, even with the assistance of personnel. Larger gear had to be supplied. Transmission begins as D2172 is being lowered via crane over the pit of SCP-783's victims. They prod their foot into a fall between the coiled torsos of 2 corpses which part. They look up and signal for the technician to continue. Visual feed reduces in clarity intermittently as limbs and bodies pass close to the lenses. 12 meters of tether are expanded before daylight is completely obscured. D2172's headlamp activates. Nothing of note can be seen from the position within the knot of corpses. Descent is put on hold when D2172 begins to thrash. D2172 becomes insistent that the command resume the descent and at a faster rate. I know I look weird. They claim to have felt a hand caressing their back. At 18 meters, D2172 reports a sense of vertigo and expresses confusion regarding the direction of travel. After a brief discussion with command, it is determined that D2172 has had experienced an inversion of gravity. D2172 managed to reorient themselves and proceeds to climb upwards from the perspective in order to continue descent. Ambient light levels begin to increase as 20 meters of the tether are expanded. Daylight can be seen shortly thereafter. An overcast sky is captured as D2172 breaks the surface. The surrounding area is partially obscured, however, due to the countless elongated arms extending upwards from the mass of corpses. D2172 utilizes 2 of these appendages as leverage in order to freely extricate themselves. They slowly navigate towards solid ground. The areas seem to perfectly replicate the town of Tenbai as it exists in baseline reality. D2172 is standing in a field on the outskirts of town. To the north is a small stone cottage belonging to a Mr. John Myers, and beyond that the main road in the town. D2172 turns for a panorama shot. Sparsely wooded areas and fields border D2172's location in every other direction, confirming that this replication is absolute for as far as can be seen. Thermal and atmospheric readings match those in baseline. D2172 disengages the harness with auto-visual feed, converting to a wireless stream via a relay device. D2172 is then instructed to use the photoionization detector to take a head sample of the soil. While D2172 is testing the sample, researchers quote Quest notice an oddity regarding the soil surrounding the mass grave on D2172's end. Upon playback of the footage, dozens of marks can be seen in the soft earth. The pattern of these markings suggests that they have been created by fingers being drawn through the ground. This is noted by command. D2172 is not informed of this development. Maybe you should tell him. Something tells me that you should probably tell him. Seems like the right thing to do. Lemonade. D2172 reports that no containment have been detected. Command instructs them next to proceed to the Myers College and to remain vigilant for any signs of Researcher Singer. D2172 arrives at the college and knocks thrice on the door. They pause, awaiting an answer, and then proceed to enter. The college appears to be uninhabited. D2172 rummages through the first room, finding nothing of note, and walks into the bedroom. On the wall over the bed is a rough sketch done in charcoal. It depicts the upper body of a reclined humanoid figure holding a rod or staff. Its free hand is outstretched above the headrest. D2172 is instructed to approach and inspect the drawing. D2172 is hesitant, professing to feel a great sense of unease while in the drawing's presence. They advance slowly. With each step in its direction comes a decrease in the quality of the video feed, which begins to break up. By the time the drawing is within arm's reach, the video feed is obscured by heavy amounts of static. The audio is drowned out by shrill whistling noises. Before D2172 can touch the drawing, command orders them to withdraw. They acquiesce and back away. They acquiesce. Interference is reduced to nominal levels. D2172 is permitted to exit the premises and explore the village proper. D2172 walks in silence for a few minutes, and before the road sign for Tenbai becomes visible, they travel down a bend in the road, where on the ground they find a single work boot. Picking it up and turning it over in their hands, it becomes clear that it matches those belongs to Researcher Singer. D2172 intuits the direction Singer could have been traveling and points out a nearby home. It is a two-story dwelling with sizable front lawn housing a wych elm. The tree is noticeably dead. The ground around it is littered with broken limbs. The front door of the abode is wide open. D2172 heads towards it. Director Kim, at the time acting as command and overseeing the excursion, requests to be relieved of duty. Citing the onset of the debilitating migraine, they are escorted to their quarters by Agent Collins. Researcher Bond steps in for Director Kim, and we can actually look at that as well, which I'm not sure if I need to. Oh, yeah, nope, yeah, we don't need to. D2172 crosses the foyer and enters the living room. There are signs of previous struggle. The couch is overturned and a small end table. Couch is overturned, as is a small end table. There's a hole in the wall in the bottom of the floor. D2172 steps over the shattered remains of the tabletop lamp and into the adjoined kitchen. This room is in a similar state of disarray. Dishes, foodstuff, and appliances that would have been on the shelves or countertop litter the floor leading back to the living room. Most of these items have incurred damage, suggesting that they have been struck or thrown with considerable forces. As D2172 nears the sink, a small pool of blood can be seen on the floor. There is a clear pattern of cast-off splatter on the wall and counter, with long strokes indicating that an assailant delivered several successive blows with a bladed weapon. D2172 kneels to take a sample of the blood, and upon standing, a butcher block can be seen laying on its side next to the sink. All of the slots are filled save for the one intended for a meat cleaver. D2172 notes this fact. A series of passive bloods. Not you, Siri.
I didn't get that.
Oh my.
Try again.
Well, that's embarrassing. A passive location and towards a door on the far end of the room. The door is heavily pock-marked and scratched, indicating assault. It is found to be locked from the other side. D2172 attempts to kick the door in, but only manages to splinter some wood along the door frame before becoming winded after 3 attempts. They walk back towards the other end of the kitchen, take a deep breath, and charge at the door. D2172 shoulders the door at full speed, breaching it successfully. The momentum carries them over the door threshold, where they panic and embrace the wall for support in order to stop themselves from falling down. A flight of stairs leading to the basement. This will keep me energized. This will keep me jazzy. Yeah, that too. Jazzy and gassy. D2172 gains the bearings and is chided for the reckless behavior. Command instructs them to enter the basement. After trying the light switch, which fails to produce a result, they have a brief discussion with Command on the merits of documenting the contents of the basement and place a heavy emphasis on the value of their own life. They are eventually persuaded to continue on threat of being cast adrift. D2172 activates the headlamps. They draw their firearms, disengage the safety, and carefully descend in a low ready stance, hugging the wall opposite the railing. Don't want something to breach my apartment. Don't need that in my life right now. The basement is largely empty. D2172 sweeps the area, and something on the ground on the far corner of the room glints on the light of the headlamps. D2172 approaches and finds the missing meat cleaver wet with blood. They kneel to inspect the cleaver, and upon standing they notice a quarter-meter wide hole in the concrete wall and exhaust vent leading above ground. A piece of fabric is hanging from inside it. Closer inspection reveals it to be a pant leg. D2172 pulls at the article, which is found to be a tattered pair of tan slacks previously worn by researcher Singer. We're getting closer, but this doesn't look very good. For Singer, at least not. A rustling is heard from within the vent. D2172 leans in close to inspect, and something fleshy can be seen, which quickly moves up in the bend in the pipe and out of sight. D2172 promptly withdraws from the premises. Yeah, I'm surprised he even looked inside. In the moment I would hear something from a vent, I'd be like, we're leaving. We're going out. Due to the discoveries within the domicile, researcher Singer is presumed to have been killed in action. D2172 is instructed to travel out of town in order to further document the nature of the area itself and determine its actual boundaries, if any. Little of note occurs for the next 40 minutes as D2172 travels north and out of town, down Tambai as the main street. D2172, we're almost done with this one. We're past the halfway point of this one. Is now outside Tambai's town limits, continuing on the main road with which now winds through a densely wooded grove of silver birches. The geography remains consistent with that of baseline for the following 2 kilometers, at which point forest gives way to a field. It is not until a small cottage is spotted ahead that D2172 expresses concern. They stopped and surveyed the surrounding area, revealing that they had somehow emerged back on the south side of Tenbai. Oh, okay, it's a small... yeah, okay, Tenbai seems to be the focus. You can't really escape it. It's like you just walk one side, come back the other side. D2172 conveys to command that they cannot see the limbs of SCP-783 victims, which should have been visible extending out of the body pit. They diverge from the path and run towards the expected location of the victims. Upon reaching it, there's a large circular area of overturned soil and a distinct lack of corpses. There are no signs of D2172's presence here. Either a previously discarded sample bag along with the relay device and accompanying tethered harness are absent. D2172 begins to panic and is instructed to hold the position while command decides upon a course of action. He's stuck. Oh, he's stuck. Now my question is, if did he walk in a way that he looped back to the same town, or is this just the same town, but still, but he didn't loop? It's just a copy of the same town, 2 kilometers away from the original town. Well, original upside down town. Researcher Bond confers with the on-hand technician to confirm the status of D2172's harness. It is relayed that it had not been retracted prematurely, nor had any length of tether been expanded since D2172 set aside the harness. After some deliberation, it is determined that D2172 has possibly entered an iterative spatial zone situated adjacent from the original area of entry. It is then decided that exploration beyond this point will best be handled by personnel experienced with excursion of this nature. I assume that what they meant to say is just like, yeah, you're just in a different town that just happens to look exactly the same. D2172 is instructed to follow the road back towards the entry point. Oh boy, will he though? I feel like he's gonna get lost now. Or something's gonna chase him down. Or something's gonna get him. D2172 is traveling down the road through the silver birch forest at a brisk pace, idly conversing with command. It is as they remark on the absence of any form of life that a rustle of leaves can be heard. D2172 turns towards the source of the noise to find the naked body of an elongated SCP-783 victim. It is sprawled across the road, unmoving a few dozen meters away. D2172 swears loudly and then turns to continue on the path. Another SCP-783 victim is stretched along the road before him, some distance away, also unmoving. D2172 withdraws the firearm and takes a step towards it. A rustling and snapping sound can be heard behind D2172, who again turns to face the victims behind them. Although the body's position remains unchanged, it is clear that the trunk and arms had grown and elongated, twisting and breaking, placing them closer to D2172's position. More snapping can be heard once again from behind D2172. They rapidly turned and fired at the SCP-783 victim, bearing their path, whose neck had elongated and bent such that it placed the head roughly a meter away from D2172 at eye level. Though several rounds are discharged directly into its face, it elicits no reaction. Snapping can be heard once again from the unobserved victims behind D2172. I know it's itchy as hell. Who absconds from between the entities by running off the road into the woods. Oh shit. That's the worst you can do. D2172 runs for several minutes eastward, ignoring commands advised to keep the road within view. They eventually stop to catch the breath and recuperate, coming to rest momentarily on a large rock. There's no sign of pursuit from the SCP-782 victims. D2172 uses this opportunity to reload their firearms. Upon holstering it, they take time to consume a MRE. They consult with command on their relative position and determine the proper direction of travel. A moment is taken to elevate themselves, and they set off. And back to this. I gotta stay awake, dude. The track is largely uneventful. Over the next 14 minutes before D2172 stops, they claim to feel minute vibration in the ground coming in short punctuated bursts. Though they are sure that the sensation may be attributable to the unstable region of space-time in which they are in, something that should not be concerning. They insist on remaining still, listening. They inform command of a muted thumping noise coinciding with the vibrations. This is not picked up on audio. New position. They advance carefully again, readying their firearms. Off in the far distance, the camera captures a single silver birch tree being lifted vertically out of the side above the tree line. D2172 does not seem to have witnessed it, as command attempts to communicate this to D2172. It comes back down through the treetops, much closer to D2172, and impacts the ground with enough force to shake the ground. It can now be seen that despite its thickness and mottled white coloration, that it is not in fact a birch tree. From D2172's vantage point, it cannot be seen to have any branches, and it extends to a point somewhere above the canopy. D2172 is instructed to approach and physically inspect it before they can act upon this. Another such object comes down directly next to D2172, knocking them to the ground. Once on their feet, they approach the second object. They pause once they see the faint impression of ridges and grooves running along the object's side, and opposite of it, a flattish, horny nail plate. D2172 fires at the object and draws blood. It quickly withdraws. A steep, protracted scream emanates from above D2172, who breaks into a run. D2172 runs through the forest, swearing incessantly and begging for some form of assistance or support from command. As they run, more objects crash down around them, seemingly trying to hit D2172 directly. They break from the forest. They are now on the northern outskirts of Tenbai as D2172 hurries to close the distance hurries to close the distance to the town, and none of the unidentified objects collide with D2172, knocking them on the back. The object came to rest beside D2172, taking up the majority of the visual feed. D2172's gaze follows the subject, tracing up its D21's gaze follows the object, tracing it up its length. Without the obstruction of the canopy, it can be seen to bend and twist, terminating several hundred meters in the air. D2172 screams when they discover its source. The new form of researcher singer is suspended high in the air, balanced on elongated and grossly enlarged fingers. Wow, that image just gave me goosebumps. That is so freaky. No. No. I don't want it. Researcher Bond stands from her position at the control console, topples over and proceeds to vomit profusely. Yeah, I mean that imagery is just freaky. It's just so uncomfortable. Imagine your fingers long enough that they're just like you just balance on it and you're high up in the air, and your whole body is just misshapen, like stretched out and everything like that. A member of medical staff rushes to her side in time to catch her as she falls unconscious. Dr. Peterson elects to take her place at the command console. Everybody has to like take over. Agent Colin arrives to help carry researcher Bond to the medical bay where she is to receive corrective treatment. The singer creature screams a hollow sound, lifting one finger from somewhere deep within the silver birch grove. Oh wait, is what he saw one of the fingers in the forest where he thought it was like where he thought it was a birch tree? It was actually one of the fingers. Felling several trees as they drag it towards D2172. D2172 rolls to the left and out of its path. They withdraw the weapon and fire at Singer, failing to hit their mark. Kind of ironic because like he came here to save her. Now he wants her more dead. The Singer creature can then be seen to lift its left hand, slowly drawing its digits together to grab D2172. D2172 swiftly comes to a stand and runs in the opposite direction. The digits can be heard colliding with one another behind them. Ow. Ow, 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 that actually, oh. Ah. Ah. Ow. Chair hit the ankle bone. Ah. The shock's over, but man, that hurt. They safely reach the main road and do not slow the pace as they follow it south through town. Loud thumping can be heard as the Singer creature ambulates on the ditches in pursuit. D2172 narrowly avoids a finger as it sweeps past them to the right, crashing through a chain link fence surrounding one of the houses. Another finger plummets through the roof of an abode ahead of D2172. Wow, it must be super tall, because like it must be like at least a couple, I would say like 20 meters off the ground, because like the fact that the finger can like be next to him but also ahead of him, maybe even longer, who knows. I feel like D2172 is like this, and Singer's like like this, you know, kind of like this. Here we go. You know, where my hand here is where the Singer's body is. So, like that's what I imagine. D2172 swears repeatedly as they come around the bend where they found researcher Singer's boot. They pass the road sign, nearly falling as they trip over their own feet. D2172's pace begins to slow as they are clearly becoming winded. Yeah, of course, they've been running non-stop. The Myers cottage comes into view, and shortly thereafter, arms can be seen extending out from the body pit. So there was a replica town, and assuring that the technician standing by is prepared to reel them back in. The Singer creature screeches. D2172 is knocked aside with great force. No, dude, you're almost there. Tumbling into the field, visual feed is lost due to incurred damage. D2172 can be heard screaming and cussing with amplified volume, suggesting that they are getting further and further away from the recorder. The thumping of the single creature fingers can be heard, becoming more and more distant as well. Silence is recorded for the final half hour. Fuck, he was right there, dude. He was right fucking there. I understand that like he was winded, that he was exhausted because he's been running for the forest multiple times, and then this came. But I feel like if I saw my exit, I feel like I would just double book it. I don't care how tired I would be. I'd be like, fuck, and just just go. Don't even think about how much pain my lungs and my legs are. Just the exit is right there. Dr. Peterson orders the termination of the audio feed and declares D2172 as lost. It is decided that D2172's honors may be recalled for future use. Agent Collins arrives in the control room and discusses the matter with Dr. Peterson. Collins asserts that there is no evidence that D2172 was captured or had expired, citing an ethics committee mandate on the exploration of non-incursive extra-dimensional locales. They persuade Dr. Peterson to leave available D2172's harness. Several personnel remain on hand over the next several hours. At 2:13 local time, the preceding technician reports that they witnessed the tether moving. After a moment's stillness, they are able to observe it becoming briefly taut as the line is tugged on twice. D272 signal for extraction. So, but the question is now: is he different? Has he become elongated and misshapen? Is he evil now? Medical personnel are notified as it is anticipated that D2172 will need to be tended to after a minute. D2172's empty body harness breaks the service. It appears that none of the straps have been properly secure prior to being recalled. The harness seems to be caught on something within the pit. The tether continues to extract, revealing the hand of D2172's grasping the harness, which slips out of the grip. D2172's hand can be seen to move animatedly, attempting to grab hold of something to keep it from sinking back into the mass of corpses. D209 rushes towards the pit, grabbing hold of D2172's hand moments before it falls out of sight. They begin to sink into the knot of bodies as well. D774, Dr. Lovater, and Private Ed Wade quickly come to assist D209, forming a human chain, and with their combined strength begin to pull the pair of D-class from the pit. D209 is successfully extricated. His arms are outstretched, hands still grasping that of D2172, whose hands come back into view. As the four men pull approximately 3 meters of D2172's forearm are dislodged from the body pit. It begins to bend and snap at several new points of articulation. D209 lets go. D2172 is reclaimed by the pit. Boy, that was good. That was good. Imagine after all that, you think, oh, our friend, the D-class, who went through all that horror, he's coming back, he's here. And then you pull his hand out, and then the arm just keeps on going and going and going, and you just like, no, we can't let this thing come into our world. And you let go. Oh, but the idea of Singer just being like super tall, and its fingers being like walking sticks, and it's also very fast. That is good. That is good. But now we have another one to read. God damn it. This one is gonna be a lengthy one, guys. Are you guys okay? How you guys doing? Talk to me. Talk to me, Bear. Talk to me, Lexi. I'm all alone reading this horror story by myself. Please, somebody say something. The following is a second recorded exploration recording regarding the SCP-783 case file. Please refer to the primary documentation for further information. Due to the events which transpired during... Oh, no, it's not you guys. Okay. During L1, it is determined that the spatial zone accessible through the knot of corpses within the town of Tenbai is likely recursive, being bordered on all sides by successive iterations of itself. Essentially, the dimension consists of perfect copies of a single cell in an endless grid layout. A special operative, SO, will be required to effectively traverse the locale. SO Nix is requisitioned from Site 121 in the United States. She was chosen due to her expertise in traversing extraspatial locales featuring recurring topology. Having personally mapped 27 iterations of SCP Blank, engineered a supply line for Mobile Task Force Tiefling Black during the second tour of SCP Blank, and having successfully navigated an escape route through Site Blank during an emergency extraction of assets. After a full debriefing and several viewings of D2172's exploration log, SO Nix spends her first week on site personally inspecting the town limits of baseline Tenbai and denoting points of interest along the wooded outskirts on her personal map. It is only after she had acquainted herself with the local topography that she requisitions materials from HQ and makes final preparation for her dive into the Tenbai pit of corpses. On the 8th day, SO Nix returns to the site with the following: 1000 referencing exit markers, REM, a prismatic compass and map of Tenbai, sufficient rations for the 3-day excursion, wireless AV surveillance camera, an M1014 shotgun with side saddle, 12 gauge buckshot 16, a shotgun shell bandolier, 12 gauge buckshot 20, 12 gauge slug 36, 124 inches machete, and unit K9 1 to 1 2-year-old Dutch Shepherd Tafel. Oh my god, no, don't bring the dog along with this. Understand it might be good. It might help. No, don't bring a dog along. Anything but the dog. If the dog dies, I swear to God, I'm gonna riot. Agent Collins is chosen to oversee command during the excursion, owing to the sickness which had affected her colleagues during the previous expedition's broadcast. SO Nix spends an hour in the evening practicing quick load maneuvers for her firearm. By noon, she is outfitted in full tactical protective gear. Both SO Nix and K9 1 to 1 are lowered through the Tenbai mass grave one after the other at sunrise. I don't want the dog to go in there. No. Once within the Tenbai replica, SO Nix is able to repair the relay device installed during the first expedition by D2172. The camera feed activates. There's a light early morning fog permeating the area as the feed activates. SO Nix scans the surrounding fields and farmlands, identifying no immediate threats. There's no sign of D2172. She turns and okay, so D2172 didn't stay. That would be. What if its arm is somewhere, and then we find out that the arm is like I don't know, like 500 meters long. She turns and calls out to K9. I just go say K9. Or I just go say Tavos whenever I see the number Tavos, who is partially obscured by the arms reaching up from the body pit's tangle of corpses. As Tavos comes around to meet up with Nix, it passes beneath a low-hanging limb from one of the bodies, which breaks with an audible crack. Then the gnarled limb stops just short of touching Tavos before it's swiftly severed by Nix's machete. As the pair depart, intimate cracks can be heard from the ground appendages as it continues to convulse and fracture. Oh boy. This is really well written. This is really well written because I'm so uncomfortable with what they have to deal with. The first 15 minutes of the travels consist of heading in a southeasterly direction, gradually identifying memorized aspects of the environment such as fauna, rock formation, flanking the wooded path of the town. Due to the lack of life forms, the only sounds are crunching leaves as they progress. It is once a felled tree is spotted, so that S.O. Nix identifies a point which should be in the northwestern area on the town. At this point, and Rem is hung from a nearby branch as Nix walks off the path and into the woods to further delineate the area in which the replicate tempi ends and the next cell in the grid begins. Nix methodically begins canvassing the woods and cross-referencing her map, placing Rems to delineate the boundaries of the primary stone. Tavos bounds through the woods alongside her during this time, occasionally sniffing the area. 45 minutes pass uneventfully until Tavos passes, alert and focused on an area off in the distance ahead. Nix readies her shotgun and the pair proceed with caution. Up ahead, a long, gnarled white shape can be seen snaking through the undergrowth and between trees. No! No! I don't want it! Partially obscured beneath scattered leaves and detritus, Tavos approaches within a meter of the object before halting at Nix's command. Upon approach, mottled white flesh can be made out, as well as varicose veins running across its length. The appendage trails far off into the distance and outside the boundaries of the primary tempi facsimile on one end. The other end terminates in an average-sized foot nearby. At the besiege of command, S.O. Nix moves to investigate the foot, which can be seen to sport a colorful tattoo encircling the shin. Close inspecting reveals it to be Oriental dragon, its mouth open and consuming the tail in an Ouroboros. This confirms the identity of the cadaver as being OD-2172. Nix asks command for orders concerning course of action. So his arm is in fact multiple meters long, like hundreds of meters long. Alarm is set off within the base. Command is notified that Dr. Lafayette has escaped the quarters with the assistance of D-774. A search unit is deployed and the residents of Baseline Tempi are notified of the fugitive. Hey, this is not the right moment to cause a breach. Receiving a guidance from command, S.O. Nix states her intention to follow D-2172's limb through the woods and into the next cell into the grid. She calls Tavos to her side and they begin walking. I think that's supposed to be begin to walk or something like that. 3 quick bone-splintering cracks can be heard behind the pair. Nix quickly turns, drawing her shotgun to see what the ankle of... draws her shotgun to see that the ankle of D-2172 has snapped and twisted such that the foot is raised off the ground and slightly coiled, toes pointing in her direction. Tavos puts itself in front of her, raises its haunches and emits a low growl. Nix backs away slowly. She puts an additional 3 meters between herself and the foot with no signs of further movement from it. She whistles for Tavos and they continue following the limb. Oh my god. Can you imagine? You see this fucking long ass leg and you're like, okay, let's follow where it goes. And then suddenly it just points towards you as if the foot had eyes. The two follow D2172's leg for approximately 1.5 kilometers, where it then zigzags up a nearby incline, crossing perpendicular. Wait, 1.5. That's how long its legs are? Oh no. That is super long. To a dirt path that ascends a rocky hill. Checking her map, Nix identifies herself as having arrived at the base of Shallow Tempai's highest point of elevation, which lay to the north of town. She attempts to radio command to no avail, then reports that she will ascend the hill in order to use the elevation to canvass the area and provide a sit rep. The ascent takes roughly 20 minutes. And in the meantime, this shit is happening. Dr. Lafayette is recovered by a Tempai constable after trying to enlist the help of local police. They are brought back to base. Agent Collins leaves the control room in order to aid Dr. Lafayette and ensure that he receives proper medical care. D-774 was shot and killed during the confrontation that led to Dr. Lafayette's capture. The remains are returned to base. Cresting the second leg of the hill, the trail can be seen to lead alongside a rocky wall. A rocky wall before ending at the mouth of a small cave. Nix notes that this cave does not exist in the baseline Tempai. As she nears the entrance, the visual feeds the grate slightly. Tavos whines quietly and is assuaged by Nix. In between static interference, the cave is seen to possess signs of habitation. To the right, the walls can be seen to have been carved to create small shelves speckled with indiscernible filth. In ancient cast iron, little pot sits in the center of the room atop a mound of partially burned petrified wood encircled by rocks. On the left, discoloration in a roughly 3x1 area of the cave rear suggests former existence of bending in that corner, long since rotted away. Nix takes 2 steps in before my eye becomes itchy, stopping short. She looks to Tavos, who remains outside the cave entrance, head lightly bowed and its tail tucked between its legs. Nix heads over to Tavos, kneels down and calls the animal, petting it and commanding it to remain in place. Standing back up, she moves inside to check the shells. Small bites of wicker, possibly some form of ornamentation, crumple upon being touched. Advancing to the pot, a carving can be seen on its side, which she inspects. She removes the pot lid and gags. It is shown to be filled with a murky brown pool of stagnant water, within which float several objects unable to be made out until Nix activates her headlamp and gas at the side of over a dozen small bones. Based off the most clearly visible of these in Ulma, it is estimated that the remains belong to an individual no more than 2 months of age. The display is further plagued by static. Oh boy. This place is just fun, isn't it? It's just a great time. It's just... Why go to Disneyland if you can visit Crooked Man's Tempai's upside down world? Nix replaces the lid and sets the pot down carefully. She pauses momentarily, partly stands and staggers, and then proceeds to fall to her knees and vomit profusely. She curses quietly and sniffles afterwards for a minute, obscuring the camera feed as she wipes her face. Looking up, a small nook in the cave wall can be seen at the foot level. Beside where the bed profusely lay something small and brown is inside it. Nix takes a few deep breaths, then raises to a stand. Static builds as Nix crosses over to investigate. She kneels, reaches her hand inside and pulls out the object. The visual field is overcome by white noise, though Nix can still be heard, who reports finding some form of diary. Flipping through the first few weathered pages reveals little of import. Any content that may have once been present has long since faded. She continues to scan the document when a hollow popping noise rings out. Oh, I don't like that. But also, what we have here, likely a representation of a breaking wheel, a medieval torture device which would have a criminal strapped to the wheel with the limbs being broken repeatedly. Ow. Victims would be kept alive in this state until they succumb to their injuries. Okay, but it's a dog. Okay. Turning quickly, no immediate threat or change in surrounding is seen. Tavos begins approaching cautiously. Another sharp, wet pop is heard. Tavos growls as Nix glances about for the noise source. It sounds off a third time, and the lid of the cast iron pot vibrates as it is struck from within. Nix flees the cave. Yeah, you better fucking flee the cave. In the meantime, the Foundation's like, shit, we've got to deal with all this stuff. With D774's remains being tended to by Director Kim, Agent Collins and Dr. Lafayette arrive at the control room. Agent Collins dons the headset and announces her presence to Nix. Nix has reached the top of Shallow Peak by the time Command is able to reach her and relays the event of the previous hour. From her perspective, she is clearly able to see both the replicate Tenbai to the east, where she entered, as well as its iterative copy to the west, in the cell she now occupies. In a panoramic shot, a dozen windmills of further Tenbai replicates can be viewed far off in the distance. Why so many Tenbais, man? She explains to Command that although the pattern of the surrounding area supports the recursive iteration theory of this dimension layout, that there are noted inconsistencies within the grid she inhabits. Beyond the cave, which did not exist in baseline or replicate Tenpai, she points out a small grove of dead trees that seemingly has no parallel elsewhere in the grid. Similarly, Nix claims to have spotted an unidentifiable structure in the town center of Tenpai in a cell. Upon query from Command as to why there would be a deviation in the pattern, Nix suggests that the presence of D2172 across the boundary of two iterations may be causing fluctuation in the integrity of the grid cell she occupies. Likening it to a cellular lysis, Nix explains how the border between spatial zones could be weakened by foreign materials occupying two cells in a grid simultaneously for an extended period of time, a problem that prohibited the building of Outpost 41 within SCP-blank several years prior. Despite the instability of this cell, she posits that the deformation in this zone may be a reflection of the historical state of Tenpai and therefore present a valuable research opportunity that merits further exploration. Nix begins her descent. Small cracks and pops can be heard still reverberating within the cave as she passes. She does not look inside. Yeah, just don't ignore it. Someone is sobbing. Why? Who? What? Where? At the bottom of the hill, a path of dead grass and foliage can be seen where previously D2172 legs had lain. Tavos sniffs about this area and begins following the trail further into the cell in the direction of the next Tenbai. Oh my god. Almost 2 hours passed and I only read like 4 SCPs. Just because this one is extra long. But hey, hopefully the other ones aren't as long. If they are, I probably have to skip some stuff. The forest slightly darkens as cloud cover obscures the sun. A sharp report of bone snapping echoes in the distance. Nix holds her shotgun in a low ready position and double checks to safety. Another crack. The splintering of bone sounds repeatedly from an indiscernible source as Nix levels her weapon. Attempting to follow the noise, another crack. Small branches and leaves fall and flitter about as the foot of D2172 emerges from the canopy, dangling from above. It quickly wrists and breaks, turning to face Nix with its toes. It is immediately met with 3 rapid bursts of buckshot. The idea of a foot just going like, looking at you, and she's like, just shoots it dead. Is immediately met with 3 rapid bursts of buckshot. The appendage dangles loosely, dripping blood from its shredded remains. The foot is almost entirely destroyed, consisting of chunks of flesh suspended by the ankle, with only the posterior and anterior digits remaining. It rolls to and fro from the concussive force of the shots, swaying impotently. Tavos snarls and barks at the appendage. Nix keeps her weapon trained on it as the two work to carefully circumvent it. It is as they pass it that the appendage swiftly plunges to the ground, trailed by several meters of leg. The appendage is swollen from countless fractures across its length, giving its dozen of points of extra articulation. Nix breaks into a run as the coil mass begins to shift. The The two barrel through the forest, Tubbles in the lead, leaping and dodging over obstacles in the terrain. Behind them, a furrow of rustling and banging can be heard as the leg bursts through foliage and violently rebounds of trees, tearing through the woods in pursuit. Nix takes a sharp right, then a left, followed by another right, in an attempt to carve a path that would have D2172's leg cut up and entangled between trees as the wolves continued on a more direct route towards town. Nix is now alone. Tavos, please come back. I don't like the idea that you are by yourself in this messed up place. Please don't die. Please do not die. Same with Nix. I can't want her to survive. I want her to survive, and Tavos as well. I want them just to get out together. There's a crash as the appendage ricochets off a nearby tree to her right, which the remains of D2172's foot shooting perpendicular across her path, bearing progress as the length of legs snakes behind it. Nix transitions into a low slide, avoiding collision, and fires into the flesh of the leg. The leg convulses as she rolls, races to her feet, ducks beneath the limb, and breaks off running. After 5 paces, the feet shakes as she is struck from behind and falls face first to the ground. Quickly coming to a kneel, her shotgun can be seen laying several feet away in the brush. As she begins to crawl towards it, there is a quick flash of mottled flesh across the feet. The limb crosses in front of her once, twice, 3 times. Nix groans as the appendage wraps around her. Looking down, it is clear that her arms are pinned to the side. Her machete lay at her hip, inches from her grasping hand as she struggles. Davos, please save her. The leg pulls back, twisting in on itself, even further coiling about her like a snake, jerking the feet about as she is spun backwards into its many folds. The twirling ceases and Nix screams at the limb as the limb tightens around her. The remains of D2172's foot comes into view. It hovers before Nix. There's a pair of cracks as the remaining pinky and big toe splinter and fracture, forming 2 sharp prongs that pinpoint her face. It rears back momentarily before it launches forward. Just as it's about to strike, there's a flurry of motion. Tavos leaps from off camera, catching D2172's foot in its mouth. The limb with it writhes as the animal wrestles with the appendage. The leg loosens, dropping Nix. The appendage twists and curls as Tavos tears into it with its teeth, quivering in an unnatural manner. Nix crawls towards the firearm as they contend with one another in the background. She grabs her gun and turns in time to see the leg sweep under the feet of Tavos, wrap around the canine and retract it at a rapid pace. The dog yelps as a limp and snarls it and ensconces off into the woods away from Nix. No! Damn it! Stop! Just had to bring a dog along. I mean, it's fucking fantastic. Tavos saved her, but now Tavos is being captured and is being dragged away. Agent Collins informs Nix that she needs to progress towards the next town. She is advised not to follow the limb and to consider the animal as lost asset. How dare you? How dare you say that? How dare you say that? Tavos saved her, and you wanna fucking tell her just leave it be. It's not safe. Ignoring command, Nix charges after the fleeing leg. The knot of flesh wrapped around Tavos shreds a path through the forest, ripping through the brush and felling some of the smaller trees. Nix curls and pants as she chases after it. The leg begins to draw itself upwards to pull the animal's weight up alongside it and out of sight. As it drags itself away, the mass becomes caught up between a pair of trees positioned between one another. Tavos whimpers as the leg constricts in an attempt to squeeze through. Nix catches up, discarding her shotgun, and launches towards with a swift blow from her machete. There's a high-pitched shriek in the distance. She strikes it again and again and again. She bellows a long scream as she viciously assaults the leg, cutting clear into the flesh and revealing bones. She hacks and chops and shouts as the dog whines and attempts to free itself. The leg ceases its attempt to pull through the tree and instead races sharply upwards, knocking Nix away. The cries of Tavos can be heard above her before trailing off into the far distance out of earshot. Come the fuck on! Give the dog back! Someone is sobbing. Nix screams in anger. She stands shouting Threats off into the wilderness after the leg, crying out for it to return, swearing retribution. It takes several minutes for her to calm down. She reads command asking for help to hunt the leg of D2172 and it's denied. She is instructed to either investigate the Tampa in her cell or abort the mission and chooses the former. She retrieves her firearm and continues progress. No. It had to be a shepherd too. God. That was my dog. Given the distance traveled during the chase, it is not long before she is met with the farmland which encircles this version of Tempai. Unlike the baseline town, the farmlands there are barren the farmlands here are barren. Not a single piece of vegetation sprouts from the dirt, which is seen to appear dry and infertile. She treks onward. Entering the town, Nick stalks silently through the streets. She rounds a corner, peering into the general store as she passes, revealing several SCP-781 victims. You mean 83? That's definitely a mistake there. Pressed up against the plate glass, there is still another on the second story of the hardware store across the street. 3 more peer out from within a sedan half parked on a curb, having crashed into a lamppost. Another is visible beneath the gate of a storm drain. Its face contorted and pressed up against the bars, and with enough force that bits of fat press upwards through them, none move to attack. Nix enters the town. A sudden cacophony of splintering wood and breaking glass interrupts the silence. Turning around, Nix sees that the buildings flanking the end of the street have taken a broken, crooked appearance. The foundation crumble, a hallmark of SCP-783's influence. Before Nix can react, a pair of buildings collapses inwards, blocking the road she entered from. It is unknown if it is the sudden noise or the possible presence of SCP-783 itself, but the corpses sprawled throughout town begin to shudder violently. The trio in the car can be seen to thrash about wildly. The bones break and snap and crack and rapidly heal and stretch. Within seconds, the entirety of the sedan is full of flesh, knotted together and writhing. The windshield cracks from the pressure. D774 enters the control. This is not good. Okay, last thing to read. Hopefully, I mean, if Nick survived this, fine, but Tavos should have survived this as well. I'm pissed. I'm pissed in a good way. This is a good story, but I'm pissed off that the dog had to die for this. I mean, especially with German Shepherds, I'm very sensitive when it comes to German Shepherds dying in media. I'm just fucking hell. Damn it! Okay. Next continues towards the town center. It is here that the major deviation from baseline Tampa is discovered. In the center of the intersection before the steps of the town hall stands a sizable wooden platform supported on a large sturdy base. Erected in the middle of the platform is a large round contraption. There's an unidentifiable mound upon it. Nix approaches, ascending the stairs, revealing the contraption to be a wheel with several spokes radiating from its spikes, by any chance? Radiating from its center. The mount is a nude and disheveled human strapped to the device, face down. In each area where the limbs cross an empty space between the wheel spokes. Okay, spokes. The appendage is gnarled and broken, with the left leg swollen and grossly extended. It trails off the side of the platform. Looking to her right, a single piece of parchment can be seen nailed to a post atop the stairs. The document is a sensationalized proclamation of guilt, identifying an individual by the name of Hinja Wunibald. The paper denounces him as a highwayman guilty of theft, child murder, rape, witchcraft, and cannibalism. It finally goes to it finally goes on to state the ruling of his punishment, asserting that he is to be broken on the wheel. Nix confirms with command that they've clear capture of the paper contents before she casts it aside. She takes a moment to re-rack her shotgun with slug ammunition and moves towards the macabre display, frauding the corpse with the barrel of her gun. Elicits no response. She deftly circles around to its front to get a look at its face. Kneeling down, the visage of D2172 comes into view. There he is, being created, basically recreated. His face is bloated, features twisted in agony. Upon verifying its identity, Nix follows the length of his leg with her camera, seeing it lead off behind a nearby building. She states her intention to follow it to Taos, but is interrupted by a low moan. Turning back, the corpse of D2172's eyes focus on her. She wheels backwards and discharges her weapon. Due to the close proximity, the shot removes the upper part of D2172's head. Good. I mean, listen, I felt for him when he was in there by himself, when he was still human, and had to run away from Singer. But the fact that he potentially probably got the dog killed. No, this is right. Also, it takes him out of his misery, to be honest. The body gurgles and seeps as she stands and fires the next 2 rounds down into its trunk, causing D2172 to spray a torrent of blood from the remains of its mouth. Nix recalls as she coated in these fluids, stumbling back. There's a sickening crack as the lower jaw of D2172 contorts and lengthens along the right side, and another snap as the left half breaks and extends. 3 more cracks see the jawline widening and lengthening. It lashes out as she attempts a quick load, just missing her face and spraying her yet more blood that obscured the feet. The sound of Nix hurriedly descending the staircase is heard. Shit. So even if you try to kill it, it just keeps extending and elongate itself. While there can be seen to be movement on the camera feed, no details are discernible. The next several minutes consist primarily of audio as Nix evades and combats the ever-breaking jaw of D2172. All that can be heard are her shouts and cries, the breaking and splintering of bone, and the sound of rent flesh as Nix fends off the attack with her machete. In the midst of the struggle, a lone shotgun blast rings out. The weapon can be heard clattering to the ground before all fall silent. The feed is darkened as Nix rubs the camera, clearing it to the best of her ability. It will remain smeared for the remainder of the filming, but the aftermath of the struggle can be seen. The jaw of D2172 stretches from his corpse and crisscrosses throughout the intersection. Blood blankets the majority of the area, and several teeth are visible, having been knocked from the gun's line. Nix is panting and heaving. She looks down, revealing that she lost her index finger on her right hand. She swears as she covers it with her free hand in an attempt to stem the bleeding. She canvasses the ground for the last ditch, which is then spotted lying several feet away. As she rushes towards it, it seizes and wriggles, snapping and beginning to elongate. Oh no. Nix turns to retreat, dipping down mid-run to grab her firearm as she flees. Despite prodding from command, Nix does not return to the execution platform to scour for more evidence. She instead rushes along the length of the leg, trailing from D2172's corpse. She crosses over the radio at Agent Collins, casting her helmet aside. The last that is seen of Nix is her running down the length of road alongside D2172's legs. She follows it around the corner. Several minutes pass, uneventfully the leg of D2172 then shifts and gyrates, slapping the ground with excessive force for approximately 30 seconds before becoming still. A minute later, the lens spontaneously cracks. There's heavy breathing. Someone is sobbing. The area darkens as is the cast in shadow. The feed terminates as the camera is destroyed. Nix is deemed AWOL. With the nature of the dimension fully understood, it is determined that the fully armed force would be required for the capture or elimination of SCP-783. God, not even she could make it. She's a badass character and she couldn't make it out of there. Wow. Okay. We got through it. This one took forever. to read, but we got through it. It was awesome. It was definitely awesome, but god fucking damn it, dude. Why did it have to be a German Shepherd that they got involved? Christmas cheer. And now with this one we only reached the halfway point. Yeah. Let's see how far we can go. The longest I will read is until 1 a.m. If it still has more to read, then I'm gonna stop because I'm not sure if my voice can take much more. Christmas Cheers, Euclid. This is also pretty high rated. SCP-784 has been disguised as a gated community and is currently surrounded by a 3.5 meter high, 8.0 meter thick concrete wall to deter intrusion. Wait, actually, I'll be right back, guys. I'll be right back. Let me just Well, so yesterday while streaming, how should I put this? I said I was going on a break because I was reading SCP-783, The Crooked Man, and it was very, very long. So I went on a break, put on mute, checked some stuff that was like not meant to be seen or heard, and then I went back and forgot to unmute everything. So yeah, here I am. I'm still gonna keep desktop audio muted because I'm actually listening to some ASMR right now. Because I'm very exhausted. I will be honest, I'm very exhausted. Today was a hectic day, but I didn't want to give you guys a video where the rest of the SCPs are just muted, and it's just me reading them, but you cannot hear me. So I'm rereading them again for you guys' sake. But I'm going to be a bit more, I'm going to read it either A, really fast, or B, really slow. It took like around 50 minutes to finish it last time. So let's see how long it will take to get through this now. So this won't be anything new to me now, because as I said, I already read it. But it would still be fun for you guys to find out about this, and not having to, reading by yourself while I'm in the corner just going. You know what I mean? So here we go. I will add the rain sound effect later to this as well. But right now, as I was saying, I'm listening to ASMR because I just want to relax. It's been hectic. So SCP-784 has been disguised as a gated community and is currently surrounded by a 3.5 meter high, 8.0 meter thick concrete wall to deter intrusion. The top of the wall is lined with electrified steel cable, and the gate is to be locked. Any non-Foundation personnel attempting to enter SCP-784 are not to be interfered with due to the possibility of provoking a violent reaction from the occupants of SCP-784. Non-Foundation personnel exiting SCP-784 are to be detained, questioned, and released following administration of a Class B amnestic. Foundation personnel entering SCP-784 are to be dressed in traditional Christmas wear prior to entering SCP-784. The area composing SCP-784 is to be monitored remotely by a Foundation-controlled weather balloon. In the event that personnel are required to enter SCP-784, all involved personnel must have memorized the entire content of A blank P blank Beginner's Guide to the Christmas Carols. They are to be checked for precision prior to entering SCP-784. Due to the SCP-784 proximity to suburban housing developments, as well as the ramification of provoking SCP-784-1, patrols within SCP-784 are to be unarmed except during a Noel event. In the case of an unexpected Noel event, members of SCP-784-1 are to be restrained as non-violently as possible while Foundation personnel prepare Procedure 784-C. Yeah, now that I know what this SCP does, a lot of this makes more sense. It really does. It's really interesting to reread the containment procedures and be like, yeah, I can see why. But you guys don't know what this does yet, unless you already know about this SCP, because it is just as famous as, rating-wise, just as high as SCP-783, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people know about. SCP-784 is a neighborhood in the town of Blank, Texas. Currently, SCP-784 is made of 24 houses and 2 apartment buildings, all of which are decorated with blank brand Christmas lights at a density of approximately 15 lights per square meter of housing. SCP-784 will always be covered by between 12 and 33 centimeters of snow, though no unseasonable weather will occur above SCP-784. All houses within SCP-784 are occupied by a variable number of instances. I'm going to make the ASMR a little bit louder because I can hear myself more than the actual ASMR. Of -1. -1 is composed mostly of adult humans, all of whom wear sweaters typically associated with holiday gift giving. The number of unique instances of -1 within SCP-784 has been estimated at 300. Instances of -1 have not been observed engaging in reproductive activity, and no instances of SCP-784-1 have ever observably been born within SCP-784. Yes, yeah. Now I know. Like, I also know now that they don't reproduce the way we usually do as humans. They have a different way, which again, reading this again, it all makes more sense. Instances of -1 appear to age normally, though the death of an instance of -1 has never been observed by Foundation personnel, which I wonder why. I guess because they lock themselves inside the house and then just die. But I do wonder why that seems to be impossible, because it doesn't seem. Actually, no, it does seem. I understand why. I will say once we get past certain traits of what SCP-784 makes SCP-784. All instances of -1 express traits commonly associated with Christmas spirit throughout the year. These traits include singing Christmas carols, performance of plays commonly associated with the birth of Christ, and various eggnog-related festivities. These activities are engaged in daily, though specific activities will never repeat more than once per week. During daylight hours, instances of -1 will engage in activities such as gift exchange and home decoration. Post-sunset activities include decorating of foreign objects as well as vandalism, which is typically holiday themed. A Foundation supply convoy refueling overnight near SCP-784 attracted an unprecedented response from -1, which proceeded to egg several in transit prefabricated buildings, convert a Humvee into a sleigh, replace a shipment of fragmentation grenades with similar appearing glass ornaments, fill a gas tank of several vehicles with blank brand eggnog, weld steel antlers onto 156 safety helmets. Any living creature within SCP-784 not viewed as displaying adequate Christmas spirit will become the focus of all instances of -1 within approximately 4 meters. In the case of an animal, instance of -1 will be called from the nearest house and place a holiday-themed accessory on the focus. Observed decoration have included 15 collar red with a small bell, 7 reindeer antlers, 5 red Santa hats, 1 full-body reindeer holiday outfit. Human subjects who do not meet SCP-784's criteria for Christmas spirit will be assaulted by SCP-784-1, incapacitated and forcibly directed into the nearest household. They will not be seen until the following day, when they will exit the household dressed similarly to other instances of -1. Attempts to retrieve affected personnel have been met with great resistance on both the part of -1 and the affected individual. The criteria which SCP-784 follows for definition of Christmas spirit appear to be extremely broad. See Addendum A for a complete log of personnel abducted and assumed reasons for abduction. Approximately once per month, -1 will attempt to exit SCP-784 and enter the surrounding suburban community. This is referred to by on-site personnel as a Noel event. During a Noel event, each instance of -1 will carry a string of Christmas lights estimated to be 50 meters long. Instances of -1 will attach these lights to any nearby house, which will become decoratively and functionally identical to all other houses within SCP-784. Signs of an incoming Noel event include increased festivities during the day preceding the event, excessive eggnog consumption by a significant portion of -1, and an increase in the number of decorations present within SCP-784. So yeah, so now my 2 points. They don't reproduce. Normally, they spread by literally making people become them. So whoever you are, you might just like Christmas, but just averagely. But then these guys come around who just celebrate Christmas every single day, hang stuff on your wall, and suddenly you have this urge of like, oh shit, oh I can feel it, something's wrong, I can feel it, and then next thing you know, you become one of them. So that's how they reproduce basically, or how they multiply or grow the community. They literally just make you become them magically with Christmas cheer and spirit. And now why I think the Foundation haven't managed to witness any of the deaths is because that's not very Christmas-like. Dying. Even if it's natural death, like old age or disease. I assume it's just not very natural to Christmas that they decide whenever somebody's about to die that they will forbid anybody from seeing that because it would ruin the Christmas night or the Christmas day or the Christmas feel, the Christmas spirit, the Christmas aura. That's why it probably is impossible to find it, because you have to become part of them to maybe see it, or you have to like sneak into one of the houses to even witness the death, maybe. Procedure 784-C is to be executed prior to occurrence of the Noel event. Foundation personnel are to dress themselves in traditional Santa outfits and distribute themselves near the exit of SCP-784. They are to begin singing Good King when... I still don't know how to say that. Wenceslas? And distributing non-alcoholic eggnog to other personnel. On the arrival of -1, personnel to distribute eggnog mixed with a mild sedative to the crowd. Personnel are to appear friendly and cheerful at all times, as -1 has proven capable of abducting personnel while nearly unconscious. Yep. Literally, I made a joke during the stream that the idea of them just being like this, basically, like they just, even though they are clearly knocked out, they still grab you, is eerie. Definitely eerie. The power of Christmas. Following the distribution of eggnog, personnel are encouraged to sing carols associated with peace and goodwill. Silent Night has proven most effective, which is... yeah, never mind. Instances of -1 will begin to sing along, and personnel to accept the choice of song. -1 will begin to fall unconscious as the night progresses. Unconscious instances of -1 will be removed to... I need to check something, now that I think about it. I'm good. Any interference will be removed, and personnel not to interfere with this process. Any interference with the actions of -1 may trigger a violent response and will take all instances of -1. Instances of -1 not affected by procedure 784-C are to be silently incapacitated when no longer visible from the gates of the community and returned after all other instances of -1 have re-entered SCP-784. In the event that procedure 784-C fails, Foundation personnel are to release an aerosolized sleeping gas. Foundation personnel are to restrain instances of -1 until the gas takes effect, at which time all instances are to be returned from SCP-784 to SCP-784. Standard cover story 139, Drug and Football, is to be used to respond to any concerns expressed by nearby residents. And now here we have all the addendum A, which all have all the people being kidnapped. Agent Paulson on patrol with SCP-784 wished a nearby instance of -1 happy holidays. Approximately 8 instances of -1 surround Paulson, who was unable to escape. Paulson was dragged into a nearby home. Yeah, they don't like when you say happy holidays, which I understand is being said nowadays because they do, like, it's the safest thing, because some people don't celebrate Christmas, you know. But these guys, they don't care about that. These guys are like, no, it's Christmas. Christmas. Okay? Nothing else. No Hanukkah. Nothing else. Just Christmas. Agent Matthews sang the incorrect words of Silent Night while on at night patrol within SCP-784. Multiple instances of -1 incapacitated Matthews non-violently using a nearby string of decorative lights. Attempted intervention by Agent Sanderson led to the involvement of a large crowd of -1, which overwhelmed both agents. Matthews and Sanderson were dragged into a nearby home, after which personnel reported hearing the sound of Christmas carols from within the home for several days. You know, have you guys heard about the Christmas with the Cranes? Christmas with the Cranks. Yeah, I was right. That movie basically is this. Or this is based on that movie. Where like a family in the neighborhood decided like, yeah, we're not gonna celebrate Christmas, we're going on holiday. And the entire neighborhood is like, blasphemy! How dare you! We're gonna force our Christmas spirit onto you until you decide to celebrate Christmas as well. That's this. So I'm not sure if this came out first. Actually, no. Christmas and Cranks came out first. So I'm not sure if this is inspired by that or if this is just a pure coincidence, because it feels like the same thing. Christmas movies are weird. Agent Anderson collided with a lawn ornament, apparently a Santa in the style of the traditional lawn gnome. Anderson proceeded to swear violently for the next 14 seconds. 3 nearby instances of -1 held Anderson in place. A 4th emerged from a nearby home with a quart of eggnog, which Anderson was forced to ingest. Anderson collapsed and was dragged into the home from which the eggnog was retrieved. Agent Davids was presented with a gift by a child instance of Dash 1. Davids accepted the gift, but apparently failed to react with proper enthusiasm. Davids was incapacitated by a child instance of Dash 1, which tackled his legs. Several children emerged from a nearby home before Davids recovered and then dragged Davids into the home, which they had exited. Yeah, so even children, doesn't matter who you are, you could be a child, teenager, young adult, middle-aged adult, reaching elderly grandpa, dead. Doesn't matter who you are. If you don't celebrate Christmas correctly, they're gonna hunt you down. Now we have a chain restaurant. Yes, this one. It's also pretty highly rated. Keto. If periodic global searches of governmental records report the registration of any restaurant with the phrase "Uncle Blank's blank blank" in its title, a containment breach is to be reported to both the supervising researcher of SCP-785 and the leader of Mobile Task Force Beta 3 Takeout Diners. MTF Beta 3 is to secure the restaurant -2 and prevent any civilians from entering or exiting. Following the lockdown of the immediate area, of a 5-kilometer radius quarantine is to be constructed around SCP-785-2. All civilians inside the quarantine are to be interviewed and administered Class A or B amnestics on a case-by-case basis. The restaurant owner and all individuals knowledgeable about -2 or its origin will be personally interviewed by the overseeing level 4 researcher. Following the interview process, the Foundation is to ensure that all media reports will have the restaurant name -1 altered. Due to the extensive amount of time required in resolving a SCP-785 containment breach, it is advised that standard cover story 12 gas leak be deployed. Oh, yeah, you will. This is an interesting one. Only the current leader of MTF Beta 3 and the overseeing researcher of SCP-785 are to know the full title of -1. During containment operation, all operatives must have equipment processing real-time sensory modification software that prevent them from either reading or hearing the full title. If either individual is suspected of leaking -1, an immediate interrogation is to be conducted. For purposes of experimentation, one instance of -2 is to be contained inside Site-23. Only D-class personnel are permitted to interact with it. And now here we go. SCP-785 comprises of any restaurant with a name containing the phrase "Uncle Blank's blank blank." The restaurant name is designated -1. The actual restaurant is designated -2. Propagation of SCP-785's effects will begin if -1 is mentioned during conversation in a large public area, such as a movie theater or sports arena. Within 1 to 6 months after this occurs, an individual who had been present at the time location where initial seating was performed will establish an instance of -2. It will be located within half a kilometer of the location where -1 was first mentioned. The personnel preference and ethnicity of the founder influences the resulting instance of -2, allowing for a wide range of possible restaurants. For a complete listing, see document 785 blank. Following initial seeding, a separate founder will not create a new instance of -2 unless all previously existing and publicly known instances have been shut down. Left unchecked, the popularity of -2 will grow unusually quickly. The Foundation has never observed fewer than 14 new instances within 9 months. The spread of -2 is not limited to its home city when first discovered. Blank instances of -2 were found in 3 separate cities. The effect of SCP-785 will manifest annually on the first Friday of May when -2 will advertise a spring special. All customers and employees of any existing instances of -2 will be affected. Starting between 16 and 18:30 hours, any customers who have previously consumed any of -2's beef or bread during that particular day designated Group A will report to -2. Customers physically unable to report are exempt from -2's effect. Staff will proceed to stab the member of Group A 12 times, always using a bronze-tipped spear coated with data expunged. All materials save the data expunged can be found in a typical chain restaurant. After all members of Group A have been expired, employees will place their bodies on the floor. They will then turn off all appliances and produce 6 polyvinyl chloride basins of water. All customers still living, designated Group B, will be issued a large knife which is invariably composed of a bronze and blank compound. Yeah, here's where the fun begins. Using only the knives at their hands, all members of Group B will begin to consume the bodies of Group A. Every 30 minutes, they will wash their hands using PVC basins. The meal will last for 3 hours until all the basins have been used. Group B will return to their homes after the meal is finished. Employees will burn the remains of Group A using the same data expunged mixture and used previously after the completion of all activities. Members of Group B will behave normally. Most members have a somewhat inaccurate recollection of the evening's event. And here's why I joked about somebody actually eating a friend of theirs, and the other one guy doesn't really fully remember. I was like this. Yo, bro, did we eat Johnny? No, we did not eat Johnny, no. Yeah, but he walked with us to the restaurant that he mentioned. And I'm pretty sure we walked out without him. And we were pretty full. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that we ate Johnny. Just, we ate a lot there. And Johnny maybe left. No, I'm pretty sure we ate Johnny. Yeah, maybe you're right. that was a joke, yeah. Customer arrives. Customer reviews of Dash 2 have typically skyrocketed after this event. Addendum A, despite the Foundation's best efforts to remove Dash 1 from public knowledge, instances of Dash 2 continue to arise. It appears to be impossible to apprehend all civilians who unwittingly spread Dash 1. Furthermore, the possibility of a deliberate third-party propagation of Dash 1 cannot be eliminated. Yep. That's why this is an interesting one, because it has so many steps. First, the name has to be mentioned. Then one of them just decides to make a restaurant. And then you go there, you eat, you don't like the food, and suddenly you get stabbed. And then everybody else who is there eats you. And walks out and is like, I'm not sure what I ate. It was good though. It was good. Funnel factor 12. Yeah, this one is more of a cute idea. I like the idea a lot. Because it feels like there's like a bunch of video games that follow the same logic like this. Especially like more like puzzle jump and run. Puzzle platformer games. Probably did this a couple of times. Safe. SCP-786 is not autonomous, and its peculiar properties appear to be both safe and predictable. It is to be kept in a secure storage room at Site 19 with standard surveillance precautions in place. However, it is important that the storage room be kept secure against vermin of any sort. The remains... sorry, why did I say that? The room must be sealed to prevent entry by insects. Probably because I just talked about a cannibalistic restaurant. To prevent any entry by insects, rodents, and other small creatures, and fumigated on a bi-monthly basis. Description: SCP-786 is a large funnel composed of high-density blank polymer. Its appearance matches a conventional kitchen funnel, and the symbols 8 ounces are embossed on the outside just on the rim of the large end. But the funnel has an internal diameter of 1.14 meters, so it's like this. It's pretty big. Which is approximately 1,730 times larger than its diameter of 1.14 meters across its wide end and 9.50 centimeters across its narrow end. Its internal volume is 408.8 liters, which is approximately 1,730 times larger than its professed 8 ounces capacity, or a factor of 12 by power 3. A simple visual inspection of SCP-786 interior immediately suggests its unusual properties. When viewed from either end of the funnel, the interior of SCP-786 appears to be perfectly cylindrical, with the far end of the funnel having exactly the same diameter as the near end, whether that end be the larger one or the smaller one. The view through the far end's opening is enlarged or reduced accordingly. Any object that passes through SCP-786 will have its physical dimension changed by a factor of 12, either increasing or decreasing depending on which direction the object passes through the funnel. This change is permanent unless the object comes back through the funnel in the opposite direction. It is theorized that space has somehow become pinched through the flow of this item, causing items to appear larger or small without actually changing their effective size. This allows living organisms that pass through SCP-786 to survive without apparent harm in the reduced or enlarged state. This includes human test subjects who exhibit no adverse health effects and have no detectable degradation of mental capacity despite a significant reduction in brain size. The object itself appears to have been increased size by a factor of 12, but it is not known how this occurred. But there does not seem to be any way of the funnel to pass through itself. Due to the size constraints of the large and small ends, nothing larger than 1.14 meters in diameter can be reduced using SB786, and nothing larger than 9.5 centimeters in diameter can be enlarged. It is not recommended to the object pass through SB786 in the same direction more than once, especially not living objects, as this has resulted in redacted. SB786, yeah, basically saying the human went by it multiple times. Probably like if you become if you shrink down by the factor of 12 and then you do that again by a factor of 24, you probably are so small enough that you cannot be seen anymore. So stepping on you accidentally is very easy. SB786 was discovered in the basement level of parking structure that has been closed when the retail mall itself had gone out of business for 4 months prior. A careful sweep of the structure uncovered the crushed remains of a Honda 1989 CB1 CB400F motorcycle that had been miniaturized to 1/12 of its normal size. The motorcycle was traced to Mr. James Blank, who has last been seen 2 nights prior and who could have not been located. It is not known how Mr. Blank came into possession of SB786 and why he apparently chose to ride his motorcycle through it, or what ultimately became of him. SB786 has previously caused an incident with data sponge cockroaches that must be not repeated. Yep, some cockroaches like went through and boom, boom. I think I talked about, no, I didn't talk about it in this one. I talked about it in the previous, in the 770s. That some people are okay with like insects being the size of a dog because that makes it for them a little less scary or a little less creepy. But some people not. Best example: Ron Stoppable from Kim Possible. Ron liked when the insect was bigger. Kim didn't. So yeah. The plane that never was. Yes. This is. There's a lot of good ones in the 780s, to be honest. Safe. SB787 is currently contained within hangar 04 at Sector 28. Security cameras and sound recording equipment are to be stationed in the cockpit, passenger area, and baggage hold of SB787 to record any anomalous events. In the event of any anomalous activity within SB787, access to the interior of SB787 is to be prohibited for a minimum of 72 hours. So far, we spent like 25 minutes, so we're halfway through where we're supposed to be last time. SB787 is a Boeing 747-200 airliner of unknown manufacturing date and call sign. The exterior of SB787 has been painted over, included all passenger windows. Paint was wet upon recovery, drying as soon after. The mechanical components of SB787 are all undamaged and functional and show no signs of use. Non-mechanical components of SB787 include carpeting, upholstery, and luggage are in an advanced state of decay. The pilot and co-pilot seats have been removed, replaced with 2 piles of computer components arranged in the shape of chairs. SB787 initially manifested on June blank 1987 in a field located approximately blank kilometers from Bremerton, Washington. SB787 contains the bodies of 515 deceased individuals, henceforth referred to as A, SB787A. The cause of I'm just gonna call this -A though in the same time still, if you guys don't mind. The cause of death varies among specimens, which causes including strangulation, exsanguination, drowning, starvation, bullet wounds, stab wounds, and blunt force trauma. Certain mutilations are common throughout -A specimens, regardless of cause of death, including removal of the tongue, 23 instances, scalping, 73 instances, carving of cyrillic letters into the left palm, 230 instances, no pattern found, and removal of fingertips, 498 instances. All -A specimens are in the advanced stage of decay, but have shown no signs of further purification since recovery. Visual apparitions and unexplained noises and other phenomena will spontaneously manifest within SB787. These instances have not occurred when SB787 is occupied. Attempts to enter SB787 after these events will result in violent physical expulsion from SB787 by an unknown force, accompanied by severe organ damage and internal bleeding. Recorded anomalous activity within SB787 includes 8/1/1988, sound of pounding against doors and windows on the left side of SB787, lasting 7 minutes and 15 seconds. Interior cameras picked up no movement during this period. 2nd, 23rd, 1990, male voice heard from towards men wash closet, repeating the phrase, "Philosophers always run from the advanced thickening treatment," 5 times. the 10th, 6th, 1993. In-flight movies activates. My nose is itchy. Displaying a repeating series of 7 black and white still images of a deceased male human, accompanied by a female voice reading a gynecology manual in Czech. Lasts for 43 minutes. 12th, 27th, 1993. Fasten seatbelt sign flickers on and off for 3 hours and 41 minutes, accompanied by a repeated loop of the first 15 seconds of Jefferson Airplane's White Rabbit played over the speaker system. This is the longest recording anomalous event within SB787. The 7th, 30th, 1997. Indistinct humanoid figure manifests in aisle next to seat H43 and removes the emergency air supply. Figure places breathing mask on a stands still for 2 minutes and 15 seconds before moving mask and walking out of frame. Figure does not appear on any other cameras. 1st, 15th, 2001. Manifestation of indistinct humanoid figure approximately 1 meter in height. Figure sits in co-pilot's chair for 3 minutes and 50 seconds, making soft whimpering noises before vomiting onto the control console and exiting the cockpit. Examination of the vomit revealed traces of nitrous oxide, thorium, bird droppings, and 3 human fingernails. 5th, 2005, a female voice is heard throughout SCP-787 saying, "For your comfort and enjoyment today, pancakes will not be served. Please do not leave your seat. Pancakes will not be served. Please do not leave your seat. Do not leave your seat. Leave your seat. Please. Pancakes will not be served." Yay! Pancakes. 9th, 2007. Emergency air supplies deployed and retracted repeatedly for 14 minutes, 15 seconds, accompanied by screaming from a group of 10 to 20 people. Pitch of screaming shifted depending on current position of breathing masks. 11th, 29th, 2008. Internal temperature shifts from 20 degrees Celsius to minus 13 degrees Celsius over the space of 19 seconds. Running at this temperature for 10 minutes and 29 seconds before resuming average temperatures. And then 12th, 13th, 2007, the identity of -112 has been determined to be that of blank blank, a retired optometrist currently living in Atlanta, Georgia. Subject was interviewed by Foundation agents on December 14th and was found to have no knowledge or memory of any anomalous incident taking place in June of 1987. In addition, Mr. Blank claimed that he had never ridden in an airplane in his life, a claim verified by his wife and son. Attempts to identify other passengers are currently underway. Addendum 2, 5th, 22nd, 2009. Examination of SCP-787's waste storage tank revealed an additional specimen of -A, designated -A-516, being -A-516, being an Indian male approximately 30 years of age. Subject was in possession of the following: 3-piece tailored suit, surgical mask and rubber gloves, unloaded Beretta, a DT-10 shotgun, one box of Tic Tac brand mints containing 14 cinnamon flavored mints, switchblade handle is carved into the appearance of a new woman, an Eye of Horus amulet constructed of recycled aluminum twine, SCP-787's flight log, the coordinates minus 27.41, minus 122.70 were logged 5,428 times. Ticket stop for Return of the Jedi, the number 92 is written on the back in permanent marker. -A-516 does not display similar state of decay as the rest of -A specimens. Cause of death is unknown. And Addendum 3, 6/19, 2013, SCP-787's flight data recorder has been recovered from the compartment underneath the floor of seat A13. The device was wrapped in a butcher paper and the compartment filled with asbestos and dried human blood. Flight data recorder contained nothing but the phrase, "to be sorry." Yes. Basically a haunted plane filled with deaf people. We're almost done. I think we might get this done a bit faster than what I did yesterday. This one is Mark Macabre. Oh yes, this one is fun. Euclid, even though it's not highly rated, it's pretty fun. SCP-788 is contained at site blank in a high temperature ceramic lined chamber 25 meters in diameter filled with molten lead kept at a temperature of 900 degrees centigrade. If SCP-788 becomes active or attempts to break containment, its containment chamber is to be cooled until SCP-788 ceases movement. SCP-788 is to be fed 500 grams pellets of iron and magnesium on a daily basis. Description: SCP-788 is a creature resembling an African carp, Labayokupi, approximately 3.2 meters in length and composed entirely of ultrafamilic magma with a skin of cracked pisitric basalt. It is currently estimated to have a core temperature of approximately 1,475 degrees centigrade, though its skin temperature is typically much lower. Samples contained from SCP-788 show no differentiation or internal structure. SCP-788 has been observed with simple behavior identical to that of a typical water-dwelling fish. It does not exhibit unusual strength for a creature of its size, though its sheer size and mass can result in damage to its containment cell if it becomes agitated. SCP-788 consumes several types of ore and minerals with a preference for iron and magnesium, though it has not been observed excreting any material. Since its containment, SCP-788 has grown approximately 22 centimeters in length. SCP-788 was discovered following the 19 eruption of Redacted. It is currently theorized that multiple instances of SCP-788 may exist in the mantle layer of Earth, and the eruption of Redacted may have brought SCP-788 to the surface. Contingencies are currently in place if another instance of SCP-788 is discovered by the Foundation or civilian assets. Addendum 1. On SCP-788 became slow and apathetic for a period of approximately 24 days, during which its abdomen swelled considerably. At the end of its period, SCP-788 produced over spherical objects, presumably eggs with an average diameter of approximately 3 centimeters. Analysis showed that they are composed of the same type of magma as SCP-788, and all specimens have been separated into another containment cell and placed under observation. Yep. Get yourself a magma Pokemon. A magma fish Pokemon. Which I don't think Pokemon has that. Do they? I know they have a magma slug, but I don't think they have a magma fish. Which would kind of be wild to think about. Because it's water and fire combined. Well, in the Pokemon logic it would be water, fire, maybe even earth, because, you know, magma coming from the earth and all that. And hardening to become part of the earth. Who knows? I've been a bit too much, but it would be cool. What was oops, there we go. What was SCP-204 again? The Protector. Yeah, the cloud machines, exactly. This one is called Internet Predator. Yes. Euclid. All physical telephone and internet connection have been removed from SCP-789. The property is to be examined. By the way, beautiful number. 789. Just smoothly rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? The property, and that's not the only time we're gonna have this until we reach 1,789 again. Or like, you know, like 1, 2, 3, 4 will also be a big one coming up. The property is to be examined weekly for the appearance of new connection. If any are found, they must be severed immediately. Wi-Fi damping equipment is to be kept active on the property at all times. In addition, a security network over the surrounding 3 kilometers is to be monitored for the arrival of potential civilians. Prey items, Class B amnestics are to be applied, and individuals are to be returned to their homes. Once monthly, one Class D with history of child abuse is to be released into the structure housing SCP-789. D-Class previously scheduled to test with SCP-204, SCP-2672, and SCP-3530 have been used historically for this purpose. Non-Class D personnel working with SCP-789 have to be subjected to psychological screening. Unfit personnel are to be reassigned. Description: SCP-789 is an entity which resides within a well-kept, if apparently abandoned, 3-bedroom, 2-story house located in the outskirts of Redacted, North Dakota. Foundation databases contain no records of unrelated abnormal events in the area history. No anomalous materials have been located in the house construction. When the house is connected with the internet connection, SCP-789 will manifest first as a working desktop computer with webcam, controlled by a pubescent child. The entity will spend several hours a day utilizing internet chat programs, connecting and interacting with adult civilians within the continental United States. SCP-789 appears to target pedophiles, which I'm not sure why that's written like that, like pedophiles. Like, is that a typo, or is that a different way to say it? fabricating complex yet believable stories and utilizing video chat programs to lure and gain its contacts' trust and lust. SCP-789 seems to be able to keep track of detailed information for several dozen contacts at once and has not yet been recorded using the incorrect form while interacting with a familiar contact. Over the course of several weeks, SCP-789 will attempt to convince select contacts to come visit. Upon arrival, prey individuals are invited into the house by a humanoid component of SCP-789. Usually, the prey items is led into the kitchen or bedroom. The entity appears to manifest basic furnishing for the rooms used in a given hunt. Once the prey item is made comfortable and sufficiently distracted by the humanoid component of SCP-789, non-humanoid components redacted, crushed into a fine slurry. SCP-789 will soak the slurry into itself, then vanish. Upkeep of the property is apparently performed by SCP-789 as well. The entity will manifest as one of two middle-aged adult humans, henceforth -B. These two forms appear to serve as decoy parental property owners and will entertain guests if required to. Interaction with these manifestations have revealed no information as to the nature of SCP-789. All conversation regarding behavior described above is met with polite silence. Upon assault, -B will vanish and not appear again before the assailant. The appearance of these particular manifestations never change between encounters. The nature, intelligence levels, and origin of SCP-789 are unknown at this time. As SCP-789 has an obvious capability to understand and utilize the English language, research regarding possible sapience is pending. However, it is not suspected at this time that SCP-789 is or ever has been human in nature. Addendum 1CF. It has been discovered that the forms of SCP-789 utilized while seeking prey items correspond to those of children to the appropriate ages that it has encountered online for this reason. For this reason, testing has been suspended until a more easily controlled method is advised. There we go. And now here's the list. There we go. There was a Crooked Man, of course. SCP-783 was for me top. Like the story was just really well done. It was eerie, it was scary, it was uncomfortable, but I got really into it. Then Unwitting Dream Shaper, that is definitely every sleep paralysis victim's worst nightmare. Is that the sleep paralysis demon is actually real or becomes real and kills you. Christmas cheer, yep, that was in my opinion just hilarious. Like just a bunch of people who just celebrate Christmas a bit too much. Mark Macabre, it's a Pokemon. in my book it's a Pokemon. Final Factor 12, that one's just fun. That one's just like a cute little fun one. The Plane That Never Was, yeah. I mean, come on. It's a haunted plane that does a lot of things that are unusual, and a bunch of people die on it under mysterious circumstances. It's just, that is easily. I should probably note that one down for a potential script. Jot it down. You jot that down, bro. Then we have a chain restaurant. Yeah, I mean, come on. It has a lot of steps, but it definitely goes beyond. It does kind of like it's a very twisted joke on like what people already say what chain restaurants or like fast food chain restaurants put in the meat anyway. Like all the stuff they put in is like unhealthy or like disgusting. Like when you say like pink slime meat, like it's like no actual meat, it's just this pink slime that you ingest and all that stuff. What am I doing? Oh yeah, here we go. Then the All New You, yeah, like it's basically it transforms you into the one thing that you are not, that you either A want to be or B don't want to be, and makes you become that. And I said. I'm pretty sure I said this would be great for people who have New Year's resolutions. And then we have Seed Beet. I mean, that's just useful for the environment, dude. Just grow a bunch of new flora, dude. I don't see a problem with that. I don't see a problem with that one. I feel like that should be a thing, man. That should just, you can plant so many trees with this thing, and hopefully the oxygen system works with those trees. Then we have Internet Predator. Yeah, it's just the hunter becomes the hunt, like the hunter becomes the hunted kind of deal, right? Like, yeah, honestly, feels like a very like good for the world type of SCP. It captures disgusting people and then just juices, just gets them all killed and juiced up. I don't see any problem with this. So yeah, that's my list, and now I'm gonna add this to the part that was already read. There's definitely gonna be a whole different vibe because I'm like way wide awake and still, but I'm exhausted. But I'm wide awake and I had to like just read the same thing again. You know, like it's not really how do I want to put this? There was no there was no discovery of what the SCP does. It's not me reacting to the first time and then joking around it. It's just me just reading what I already read and adding the jokes I already said again. So, yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you will enjoy the next upcoming SCP because we're reaching the 800s this weekend. So, looking forward to that. In the meantime, I hope you all have a good morning, afternoon, evening, and the Afro's with you.